Hello and welcome to the At the Net podcast. I'm your co-host AJ Chavria. I'm so proud to have a great guest and a remarkable co-host along. That will be Craig Bell, as always, right below me. And our guest tonight, tremendous guy, David Dwelle. Let's invite both guys right now. And we're going to have the best time. I see David Dwelle coming up. He may be first. So in the comments, let us know where you're coming in from. I will hit the request to, or I will accept the request to join in a sec. There's Rick Eckloff. He's off glamping and able to join us, which is great. And Craig will be along any second, I'm sure. So what a legend this guy is. And why don't I just play some music from his band? It's called Scratch and Sniff. And maybe we'll go with an original song, although the covers are amazing too. So instead of James Scott Campbell and Semi-Western, our normal intro music or theme song, we'll go with the guitar stylings of Dwelle and Metzger in Scratch and Sniff, and this is a song called Here. So David says, I am here. So David, just hit request to join. Should be at the bottom right. And that allows me to, okay, I'll just say invite. So we'll make it kind of easy on him. Tex-Mex stream I don't see yet, but he'll be here. It must be so meta for David. He gets to come on the show and hear his own song at the moment. And here we go. Invite. So, folks, you probably enjoyed Wimbledon. We've got a lot of tournaments happening right now. Last Wednesday, Craig and I got to cover that a little bit. And tell us your thoughts on, okay, no button. Okay. It says, can anyone hear me? All right, I'm out, and we'll get back on. We'll say no. I will find him again. I will go to invite. I'll invite from scratch. I know you can hear, that's good. It's odd to hear a song I wrote years ago in my grandma's basement. That's hilarious. We will. Okay, let's find Craig. So Craig is here. David is not finding the button that says join. Craig, you want to walk him through how to do it?
Typically, if he's watching, then it'll say request to join, and then all you got to do is go boop right there. That's it.
And it's on the bottom right, and I think he got it. So here he comes. We got him. And I love his comment. It's so odd to hear a song I wrote years ago in Grandma's basement. It's so funny. He is about to join us any second. So good. So third time's a charm. Fourth time's a charm, everybody. So proud to have him. Craig, why don't you do our quick intro? And there's
hold on. You guys are killing me.
Welcome, buddy. How's it going?
Hold on. You're killing me here. All right. I have a different setup, different thing.
Okay.
I got to turn this off now. All right. Leave it.
That's what it takes. So, folks at home.
All right. That was great. That was fun. Thanks, guys. That was fun. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Now you know how to do this.
Craig, tell us what episode and do a quick intro, and we get to go 3 sets with the man, the legend. That's David Dwelle.
Okay. Well, thank you, D2. He's finally here. He does arrive.
Sorry,
it's you're killing me, Smalls. You got to say that. You know from.
I know exactly where it's from.
Well, anyway, thanks. Go out. We'll do it just from the start, just like we normally do. Thanks. Go out to our Athenet podcast, girl. That would be the convivial Margot Carter for that legendary introduction, and welcome fans of the great game. You are listening to Season 1, Episode 124 of At the Net Podcast with AJ Chavria in the sequence square right above me. Normally, he's over to my left, but he's the sequence square. You're like Paul Lynn tonight. I think you're in the secret square. You know, right? Are you in Hollywood Squares tonight?
Hello,
That's
and
right.
how you doing, Ivan? Did someone say Paul Lind? I went with the Snagglepuss
Uh,
rather than the Hollywood Squares.
and tonight we're talking the great game of tennis as it
Seems
seems to us. Thanks also go out to our good amigos at Tex-Mex Productions. That'd be one Darian D. Mac McBrayer and Dave the Brain from Back of the House. Actually, they're not on Back of the House. We've not seen D. Mac or the Brain tonight, but actually producing this evening is the great AJ Chabria. Usually I'm in the
It's clearly not going very well, but I love that David flashed us a Yonex E-Zone 98.
Right.
I am flashing him something he might have used at Lawrence College back in the 80s.
Right.
That was my first racket, but it was not the brown version, though.
It was the green.
The black. No, it was the black.
Oh,
It was not the green version. Yeah,
here's the
black.
pro.
First racket.
He's a little too young for the green version.
That's right. He's a little younger than I am. Yeah.
Also, be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram tonight, like we're doing tonight. This is a special episode. Check out our good work on Fireside, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor Breaker, CastBox, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Spotify. That's all the communication sites the kids find popular, hopefully on the socials, right? The socials. It's kind of like socials, like social. I just heard that word today. It's not social media, it's socials. Kind of like Googs. You don't Google it, you Googs it, right? So
don't the socials have the rings that hit your skin?
They do. Right? I don't know. I'm not that up on that. I just heard that today.
Wasn't that from Outsiders, right?
That kind of
right.
social.
Yes.
Right?
Socials.
The Outsiders?
That's right.
Yeah, social.
Yes, that's right. I do remember that.
Was that Rumblefish? I don't know.
Yeah.
One of the books I was supposed to read. That was a movie with a lot of good-looking young men. I don't know. I can't remember them all.
All I'm saying is stay golden, Pony Boy, with your references. That was awesome.
Correct.
Man, you guys are going deep into the well on that. Well, and also, if you'd like to read that opening intro, like the convivial Margot Carter, that's 2 convivials tonight of a dozen convivials we have in the bag, which means friendly. And would
I'm
like
going
to
look that up.
Convivial, it's a very good word. It's big word for a kid from Oklahoma. Convivial. I just heard it on another show one time, and so I just liked it, and I stole the word. And if you'd like to read the opening intro, like the great Margot Carter, and read the monologue, the opening act, right there, hit AJ up on some digits because AJ likes to hear all the people speak in the Queen's English, right?
DM me, we'll figure it out, and we'll produce it. In the meantime, man. Craig Bell, 3 sets with David Dwelle. First one, the whole show is brought to you by Topo Chico, our official drink. But Craig Bell, who's the first set brought to us by? And we'll get right into it.
That would be Conga Sports. That would be the first green tennis network started up by Rich Nair, our buddy from California, who D2 might know. Have you ever run into Rich Nair before?
I do know, yes.
Yes,
I mean, I'm connected with everybody. Tennis is so small, it's crazy. But
right. It is a small world because, I mean, looking at your bio, I was sitting there going, wow, you've done everything there is to work for every company. You're with Yonex right now. You're the national sales manager, but you also work for Babolat, Adidas, Gamma, Ball to Match, Head. You worked on the floor of the Chicago Tennis Company. I mean, even taught tennis in your spare time. I mean, this man does it all. I don't even know how he has time to sleep.
No, not in my spare time. I was a full-time teaching pro for 10 years.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. It's not really in the bio because it's not really kind of where I was going. I kind of had to make a decision. I still have my Forest View tag.
Oh, wow.
So it's part of a great staff that I was part of. It was the Park District of Arlington Heights, Illinois. And I worked with Ron Rocky, who developed the Biardo string machine at Wilson for years. He was the head pro at Bannockburn Bath and Tennis, which I was at. On that staff, we had 20 pros. I was probably the 20th. But I was kind of doing both. I was a rep for Ball to Match and Don A. Don A's not on there. I was originally Don A rep when I started. That's why I started. With the International Pro and the Agassi racket, and so Pro One. That was right, Pro One.
Yep, Pro One. I remember that.
Yeah, so I've been doing this a long time, and I don't know. They still allow me in the door. I don't know why, but
a lifer. He's a lifer like we are.
I love it, David. We've gone over some of the accolades and the incredible career you've had in the business side as well as the teaching side. But tell us, as a young kid in the Midwest, how you got started in the great game of tennis.
Yeah. I played baseball growing up. I could hit. I couldn't field. Couldn't field for anything. I didn't like get hit by the ball, so that was probably one thing. But I could hit, and my dad told me I was going to be the next Ryan Sandberg. He always told me that.
Oh, okay.
And I got to high school, and I was probably going to play baseball, and didn't like anyone on the team. I thought they were all pretty much, and decided to play tennis. Never played before. Freshman year, had a Prince Pro because that's what the coach told me to get. Roger King. Thanks, Roger. And there was a guy named Jim Postel, and Jim Postel had a cool Camaro and was dating the hottest girl on the team. And so I was like, well, okay,
David, if you want,
couple things here I'm going to notice.
Yeah, and if you want, you can say what kind of Camaro it really was. It was a bitchin' Camaro.
It was. It had stripes. Yeah, it was a pretty cool car, and he was a good player. Jim Postel played at Illinois State. He was a baller. He could play, and I was terrible. I was not good. There's a picture somewhere. I have it actually, where my shorts are pretty much up to my chest. It's probably the most embarrassing picture I have of myself. I probably should have gave it to you for the podcast, but
should have.
I'll float that by you later. Maybe, I don't know. It's pretty bad. I think my socks. I don't know what's higher, my socks or my shorts. But anyways, it's that was the uniform of the day, and I played. The coach made us fill out this summer match list, right? Where everyone you played, if you played, you got a point, and if you won, you got 2, right?
Yeah.
So you had to get 30 points for the summer. And of course, at the end of the year, I'm trying to fake names. I'm like, hey, I played this guy, and I didn't fill it out. And so my buddy Tom Truesdale, who's my doubles partner later, he filled out 10 sheets of it. He played every day, and he got better, right? It was the idea of just playing more matches, getting better. And all of a sudden, he made varsity for sophomore year, and I was just still kind of like, trying to pick up tennis balls and figure out what I was doing. And so he got mono or something, was supposed to go to state, and it was a whole thing. He could tell me every minute of it because he's that way. But and so our coach would make us go to the state tournament. So, by the way, Nick Baroni was my teammate. I don't know if you know Nick Baroni. So everything ties back to Nick Baroni. Like if anywhere I'm at and someone's like a really good player and I go, oh, Nick Baroni, like, oh yeah, we know Nick. So Nick played number 1 at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
He was he's All-American there. There's probably like 5 people walking this earth that have wins over Parker. He's
one of them.
Yeah.
He was 87 roughly at Ole Miss.
Well, no, 87. We graduated high school. He won state. So Mike Morrison was a 4-time state champion who played like 6 for Georgia. That's how good that team was, right? And so he was just he was what Shoot was on Vision Quest, right?
Yes, Shoot.
Right?
The wrestler,
he was Shoot, right? So he was the guy with the log going up the stairs, and you're just like, that was the dude you wanted to be. Like, he was the bad hombre, right? He'd throw rackets. There was a match one time. There was a bunch of matches going on, and there was a match going on, and a ball hit a let and hit the guy's shirt, and the guys go, hey, you lost the point. It was match point. And so they shake hands, and the dad gets up in the middle while these matches are going on. He's like, hey, he's screaming. He's like, hey, what's going on? Yeah. And Mike Morrison, who was a senior in high school, goes, you shut up. And this old man just sits down like this, and we're all like, wow, the power of Mike Morrison. We were like, wow, this guy was legit, right? But Nick was great. I mean, Nick took 4th his freshman year, second, and then finally won his senior year because Mike graduated. Mickey Mall, who was a guest on your podcast, he took fifth 1 year or sixth. He was very good out of a very small school, south of Illinois. We had ballers at Illinois that year. I mean, there were so many number one Division I players coming out of school then, and Newman, Salerno, who the guys from one of them is the head coach at Tulane. What's his name? They were tall, both of them. Anyways, they were great. I mean, we had so many good players coming out of Illinois at that time. So it was a lot of fun. So anyways, we went to the state tournament, and I was there to kind of just pick up girls because I didn't care about tennis. I was like, whatever. And so there was these two guys, right? And they were screaming and yelling, and they were like, come on! After every point, they had headbands, they had matching purple vests, sweater vests. And I was like, okay, who are these guys? And then they were like hitting overheads at guys. Like, so they hit the serve, and the guy would close, and he'd snap a ball and hit him, and they'd turn around, and I was like, what's going on here? Who are these guys? Well, they both played at Bloomington, Illinois, and so I followed them. I was like, okay, let me see what these guys are about. And they whipped through people. They just smoked them. Now I got to remember their names now off the top of my head. So anyways.
Is it the Boris brothers?
Yep.
Boris?
So yeah, Jamie Boris was the older brother at Flossmoor. And Mark Boris. Mark is at Tulane. Yeah. I got a great story about Mark Boris too. But yeah, I played against him, and they were great. Boris was awesome.
Yeah.
So I watched these guys play, and it kind of the light clicked. I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I was like, okay, I know I'm not good at like Nick. Nick was just this freak, right? Like I can't do that. I was like, well, I could do that, whatever that is. I was never that good, but at least that was something I strived to be. And so I started playing and practicing and got a little better. And then we got to state. Tommy and I got to state both junior and senior year. Probably should have won state as a team. We just choked. just absolutely flat out choked every time we got there. And it probably was me. I don't even want to blame Tommy on it. I was so excited to get there, and then I just kind of I don't know. I just didn't finish the job. But if I could go back to myself, I would have done a little bit more homework and hit more serves and serve returns. But yeah, Jennings and Kennett. So Pat Jennings was the guy I followed, and he won state that year, and he won state the year before. And so I told this story to a guy I worked with at Adidas, right? We're rooming together, and I'm talking to John Jameson, who you guys know, John Jameson.
Mm-hmm. We saw John, who lives in Austin, 3-4 weeks ago at a golf event right here in Arlington, Texas.
So John played at Cincinnati, but before that he played at Oregon. Okay, so this is a real baller again. John was good, real good player.
Still is.
So I'm telling him the story. He's playing with Yonex now, by the way. And so I'm telling him the story, and he goes, "Pat Jennings, huh?" I go, yeah. I had this man crush on this guy. Like, this was the guy that got me to be a tennis player, He goes, yeah, he was the captain of our team at Oregon, and he was the baddest dude you've ever met. Not only was he dating the hottest girl in school, he would get in fights all the time. And I'm like, that was my guy. I go, that was the dude I wanted to be. I don't know. And so then I met another guy in California. He's like, I told him the same story. He goes, I know him. And he goes, do you want to meet him? I'm like, no, I don't want to meet this guy. I go, there's no way I want to meet him. Like, I'd be so embarrassed. I'd be like, hey, how you doing, dude? Sorry, I keep hitting my headphones. Yep. So yeah, so that's what got me to play tennis. And Nick won senior year. We got, I think, top 32. I think we always claim whatever that means. And my high school coach pulled me in the next day, and he goes, "Hey, you going to college?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't know I was going to college." So he picks up the phone, and he calls the head coach at College of DuPage, Dave Webster, and he goes, "Hey, I got this kid. He's going to come play there next year." He hangs up the phone. He looks at me, and he goes, "If you don't go to college, I'm going to kick your ass." So he said.
Wow.
And so I showed up at COD, and here I am.
College of DuPage, COD.
The Chaparrals. The
Yes.
Chaparrals.
The Chaparrals.
Chaparrals. Nice.
And at Maine West, you were the Warriors, if I am correct.
We were the Warriors. They've changed the name. You know.
Oh, no.
You can't
Really?
say that anymore. Yeah.
Why?
You know.
And
I am a Warrior. Whatever
Yeah, right.
they are. Yeah.
Really? Huh.
Scandal song Warrior came out in '87.
That's right.
Actually.
Yeah,
that's right.
Patty, John's wife. Yeah, John McEnroe's wife. That was awesome.
Great song.
So what would she call herself now? If you can't say the Warrior, I am the
Warriors.
Warriors.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. Funny. Well, David, great background. And after COD, you went to Laura, small Catholic school in Dubuque, and somehow the great Craig Bell also knows that mascot. What is that, CB?
That'd be the Dewhawks.
Yeah, that is the Dewhawks. I played a year at college at DuPage. I was, coach is like, yeah, you're going to be great. You're going to play, blah, blah, blah. And I show up there, and there's 20 guys, the typical story of, get in line, kid,
Right.
And again, the team was awesome. Mark Artizone played 3. He was the coach at DePaul University women's team. Now he's like assistant at Florida State. Named Dewey. We called him Dewey Oxberger. The guy could play, man. He was a baller. He did not look like he could play, but man, you did not want to play him. He was awesome. He humbled me pretty quick. We had Brett Bridell. We had Darren Otten. Darren Otten's a pro in Phoenix still.
Yeah.
He was great. We had so I worked my way up to 7. And I was like, okay, I don't really care about singles anyways. I was playing 2 doubles. And me and Mark we beat Brett and Darren one time. My only claim to fame. They were the number 1 team in the nation at the time, junior college. So the next day they whipped us pretty good because we talked about it. So it's another life learning lesson.
Right.
Don't think you're that good because the next day will come and they'll remind you how good you're not. And so then some guy came in like halfway through the season. They gave him my spot, and I was none too happy. And so I quit. I quit tennis. Got a job at the Board of Trade with my dad. Was a runner, kind of like from Trading Places, and was doing that. I hated it. And so I was sharpening skates because I played hockey my senior year in high school and was skating every night. And I got kind of good at hockey. It just kind of, I don't know, just not good. I mean, like better, not NHL good, but just I could play. You
weren't Phil Esposito?
No, it's not Phil. I have my Brett Hull here somewhere. Anyways,
Right.
I've got a signature one here. So I think it's back there.
Can you say Blackhawks also too? Are they the
still
Chicago?
have? We still say Blackhawks. They've been trying to get that eliminated.
Have they really?
Yeah,
oh, man, that's the best sweater in hockey.
It
the
is
Blackhawks
sweater.
And folks, before we get canceled, Craig Bell is a Native American.
Yeah, I am, and I'm a card carrying member of the Chickasaw Nation from Oklahoma, and I do not care one bit iota about Blackhawks, Warriors, any Native American reference Indians. It doesn't bother me. So, just to be on the record, if somebody tries to cancel us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't. Oh wait, yeah, here we go. I got right next at my desk here without me getting up. I got my
Brett Hull.
Ooh, Hully.
That was Bobby. Is the old man.
Oh, Bobby. That's
Hull.
Bobby.
Yeah.
Bobby. Oh man, that was one tough SOB.
The Golden Jet.
Yes.
Not the Golden Brett. The Golden Jet.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So I was reffing volleyball at a park district, and I did everything. I don't know. Anyway, so I met this guy named Dan Farrell. He was a nice guy. We were talking, and I'm like, man, I'd like to play, hockey and tennis somewhere. And he's like, well, my brother plays at this small school, and the goalie plays hockey and tennis. I was like, okay, so I decided, I'm like, okay, well, let me check this out, and so I showed up to Loris, just drove up to campus, and said, hey, I'm gonna play hockey and tennis here, and never left. It was a great time. Had a lot of fun. Catholic school, small school in Dubuque, Iowa. Made some great friends. Still have them to this day, and a lot of fun. Played tennis. Played some really good players. A guy named Sujay Lama played one for Luther.
Luther, that's a close friend of ours. Yes.
And so Sujay was the man. I mean, he was
Yeah.
again. I always played against these guys who were just he should be playing D1. He was playing
Yeah,
D3.
for sure.
I don't know why. Maybe my favorite story was playing David Call. David Call was really good. He played 2 for them, and I was playing him. And my coach was real excited, and so he because he played at Luther, and so he was driving up, and we stopped at this Bavarian donut shop somewhere in between Decorah, Iowa, and Dubuque. And so he bought like 2 things of donuts. Well, it's college kids. We haven't eaten in like a month, so we're just eating donuts, right? Just eating donuts as fast as we can. And so everyone's puking like about, second set. They're just chucking it because, just Bavarian cream coming back up in the middle of the heat. And so we're in third set tiebreaker, and my coach pulls me, he gets to talk to me, and he leans in, he goes, "Wow, I think you could beat him." So I just look and I go, "Oh, you didn't think I could beat him before that?"
Now you do.
What changed?
0-7 later, handshake. But I was like, wow, that was not the coaching I needed at that time. But yeah.
The third set breaker, 0-7. Ouch. Ouch.
Yeah.
Well, David, I know you as such a industry leader and just a way too humble a guy with your hockey and tennis. As we go to the second set, we're going to talk about current projects and future projects. But as a bridge there, first of all, Craig Bell, who's the second set brought to us by?
That would be Circula app. It is Circula, the first world-class platform to unite sport and entertainment. The great Mark Wylam got us involved with Circula. So check out Circula, CIRQULA.
Absolutely. And David, we want to know how you went from college player, and of course you spent some time as a teaching pro as well, to the business of tennis. And, you don't have to go terribly deep on the early stuff, because mainly I want to talk about current projects as well as future projects with this amazing company on your right shoulder or right chest, Yonex. I know Craig has been a long-time user. He's got about 12 E-Zone 100 lights. And even I have – basically, when you switch to Yonex, even I switched to Yonex. So I use the old Dual G and the E-Zone 98 as well. So tell us how you decided on the business of tennis and how you became such a leader.
Well, such a leader. I've said this. I've probably made every mistake in this industry known to mankind. So that's kind of where my leadership comes from. Is I know what not to do because I've done it a million times. I was teaching tennis at Deer Creek Racket Club in the summer, and everyone was getting free stuff as being coaches, and I was like, well, where's my free stuff? And so I called I liked Don A at the time, so I called the local one, and the guy was out of St. Louis, and he never called me back. And I was like, well, let me think about this. I was like, well, I go to school in Iowa. So I called Don A back, and I go, so who's your rep in Iowa?
Yeah.
Like, well, this guy named Herb Bergstrom and Ed McCormick out of Minneapolis. It's like, okay, I call him up, and I'm just giving him my spiel, like, I do this, blah, 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 So they, I was a media TV major. So I was going to be, sports anchor or weather guy or something. I don't know. I was going to do something. I don't think I was really going to be in sales or tennis or anything. And I was going to teach tennis, but I wasn't really thinking of anything outside of that. And so they got me a deal on some rackets, and I played them my senior year. And then I'm taking my final. I'm studying, I'm cramming, and Ed McCormick calls me. He goes, hey, we're looking for a rep in Chicago. Would you be interested? And I'm like, I have no job options. I don't know what I'm going to do, And so I drive up in a snowstorm to La Crosse, Wisconsin, and I got an earring in. I mean, I'm like, I'm out. I'm like, I don't know who would hire me. I wouldn't have hired myself because I was an idiot. I think I just cut my mullet then, so I think I was a little more. Tasteful, but I just talked to them and they hired me, and so I was the Don A rep in Chicago, and I'm calling people in January like, hey, you want to buy rackets? And they're just hanging up on me like, yeah, whatever, get out of here. And at the time, Wilson was like 50% market share. So, I mean, it was like going up against the beast in their backyard. So I got my head handed to me pretty quick. I had a lot of 07s, which I worked through in the selling world. But I went to my first super show, which was in Atlanta. And so I went there and I kind of figured it out. I was like, oh, okay. Everyone's selling stuff here. And okay. And then I saw this company called Ball to Match, which was this apparel line. And I loved it. And I started talking to the guys. I'm like, hey, guys, what's going on? And they're like, yeah, whatever. And I hung around a little bit. And then I'm like, and I became the #1 rep. And then I got more territory. And then I was kind of teaching tennis and doing that and kind of just doing apparel and tennis, really, after I left Bergstrom. Well, Donnie kind of went away. And I think the most famous story that everyone loves me to tell is I walked into a shop in Chicago, and the guy didn't buy any Donnie. And I'd be like, well, look at these Mizuno rackets. These things are crap. Like I was talking bad about them, And 2 weeks later, I come in with a bag that says Mizuno on it, And he just is looking at me like, yeah, you want to talk to me about it? And I was like, they weren't as crappy as I thought they were.
Yeah, lesson learned, right?
Yeah. So every brand is awesome. That's all I know. Every brand makes a good product, and that's awesome that you love it. So I don't really care how that works.
That's great. Hey, Ball to Match, Nick Smith, great player, great pro, mentioned earlier that logo, Yippee Man logo. That was catchy, and everybody loved it. Me, I know I love the shorts that seem to be made for several tennis balls, and they're kind of up front. And the
I have something that no one has. This is a checkbook. That was a Ball to Match checkbook. I still have it. It's made with ripstop nylon. There's no checks in it. But there's the Yippee Man logo. It's actually
there. It is, right? Everybody.
Yes.
Yep. And
did you come up with that?
Nick's other
no.
was somehow Yannick Noah could have been a great ambassador for that brand. Just the hair.
We had so much fun, and I was lucky enough to go out to California and be the national sales manager, rep, credit, phone answering, pick up stuff, pick up garbage, clean the toilets. We did everything. There wasn't anything we didn't do, and I loved every second of it. It was my favorite job ever. We would Chris was just so. Chris Devarian, who was the owner and designer and everything, he had such a great eye for just fashion and kind of really was driven from like the beach stuff. His brother was part of Side Out, which was Carton Karai's stuff.
Yep.
So he was kind of really influenced by that scene, and that's kind of where the original shorts kind of had the the writing on the butt and everything. It was kind of like what they did.
Yeah.
And so he just was influenced by that, but then was able to pivot, got into women's apparel and we had this tennis chick tank that we made every color under the sun and sold. I mean, I can't remember how many we sold, millions of them. Brand, and I can't thank them enough or thank Chris enough because he gave me a shot to make a lot of mistakes, unfortunately, which I did. But that's how you learn, right?
No question. Yeah. And then after Ball to Match, you spent some time with the Three Stripes.
My favorite thing I still have from them is this.
Look at that.
Bottle opener.
Oh, yes.
It's a bottle opener. Now, what's really cool about this, it's solid. I mean, this thing, it's a solid piece, right? And so I wanted to burn it like right here on my arm, like on my forearm. I thought that would have been really cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, my uncle did that with a cross, and he told me how much it hurt. And I was like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't do that. So it's still a thought. It's still a thought somewhere in my head. Right. But I don't think I'm going to do it. But
anyway, and really maybe just a stencil.
Yeah, right? Like just that trefoil was really cool, right?
That's all you need.
The greatest thing about going from Ball to Match to Adidas was, hi, this is Dave from Ball to Match. I'm sorry, where? B-A-L-L-E, new word, D-E, new word, match. Dwelle, D-W-E-L, right? From this is Dave from Adidas. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Like it was a life-changing, like you really understand the power of a brand, right? I mean, it was fun because it was, the Barricade. I bought a house with Barricade. Like, thank you to the Barricade. Actually, there was a guy I played tennis with last week who had the Barricade 2s on. I go, that's the Nemesis. That's the white Nemesis. I know exactly what that shoe is. I go, you bought me a house. Thank you.
Amazing.
Loved the brand. Loved. We went to Portland all the time. We worked with a great team. I mean, John Jameson, Bethany Atkinson, Mike Lotta. Mike Lotta was a rock star, a footwear guy. I mean, that guy could tell me everything about how a shoe was made, how it wears, everything. Bob Strimmel, we got on the team. Bob Strimmel was a beast of a sales rep. And we had 6 reps throughout the country, and we were murderers row. I mean, there was nobody that was going to stop us. And I interviewed at Nike a couple times, and they turned me down, and I took it to them. It was personal. I was like, all right,
good.
You gonna take me? That's fine. And I collected a lot of skins on that one. That was 7-0 the other way because I took the beat down to him. But it was fun. It was a great brand, and it was the first time I kind of said, you know what? Because when I taught tennis, I was half-assing teaching tennis, I was half-assing repping. I was, like you'd be on the road, and then you come back, and you just kind of, you never really kind of focused on something. And I went all chips in. I just said, all right, I'm going to make this. This is it. And that focus really changed my life. That was the one that kind of got me going in the right direction. And I was, at half the time I was an independent rep, so I was still doing Gamma strings and Gamma grips and not Gamma rackets. I got yelled at a lot about that. They would actually bring me up and go, "This is the only guy who didn't sell a Gamma racket," and I'm like, "Yep, that was me."
That's me. Number one.
But Gamma was a great brand too. I mean, I love the guys there, and you learn how to sell on relationships. It's not about the product so much. Everyone makes good product, like I said earlier, because I learned that lesson. But I was going up against a Wilson rep that was just killing me everywhere in Southern Cal, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop this account. I'm going to get to know him. And that account calls me probably 3 times a week still to this day. And we talk about Bruce Springsteen. We talk about baseball. We talk about hockey. We don't even talk about work.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm still in this industry, is because of relationships I built, with guys like you. I mean, just being able to talk to you guys on a daily basis is the fun part of the job. I mean, we never really even talk about product. I mean, it's just, hey, remember this match?
Yeah.
Hey, do you remember that clothing line? Hey, do you remember, it's like 10 minutes later, we get an order done, and it's not work.
That's tremendous. And I know Craig and I got to know you 10, 12, 15 years ago. You were with another large company, Babolat. Before we get to Yonex, you were pretty big in that company. And with the pricing policies, with the growth, tremendous growth, not just on the Pro Tour, but in juniors and in coaches, you took you were there to take, and Mickey Mall too.
Mickey was a big part of it.
Yeah, to take that company to another level. So kudos on that. Tell us about your time and some of the great things you learned at Babolat before stepping into Yonex almost 2 years ago.
Well, I'll get to show you real quick. This is the one thing I love right here. This is my.
It looks like a poster, and I think we're freezing just
a
little bit.
There we go.
Sorry, did you see that picture of Rafa or no?
Yeah, it was a poster of Rafa this big, right?
Yeah, so that was called actually Mickey started that award. It was called the Triab Award. It was the Tennis Runs in Your Blood Award. It was kind of one of my favorite things I ever won. And it was kind of given to the person that kind of represented the brand the most. And, to get something with Rafa on it, for all the years that he was there, it was just, I got to meet him once. He's just a nice guy. Yeah, that was a fun brand. You go from a, number one footwear and apparel brand. I mean, apparel were number two, but I'm gonna say one for now. And you know, I'm on a run with Drew at Tennis Warehouse. We're at the Davis Cup matches in Portland, the final, and we're going on a run, and we're just running. And he goes, why do you want to leave the number one brand to go to the number four brand, racket brand? And I just was like, you know, I don't know. This seems like I don't know. I had this feeling like something was good here. I don't know what it was. And he goes, well, if you want it, I'll give them go if you want it. So I was like, all right.
Yeah.
And so what was really funny is I ran into Dale and Adam Queen, who came back from a wedding in South Africa, and they were at the match, and they knew I was leaving. My boss was standing next to me. She didn't know yet. And so they're looking at me like, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, good. They're like, we'll be seeing you soon. And I'm like, mm-hmm. I was like, yes, you will be.
Well,
it's kind of funny. She's like, what was that? I go, I don't know. But yeah, no, and again, that was another important part of my career is, you know, we took the chance as a family to move, you know, from California. I was really happy at Adidas. You know, everything was fine. There was no reason to leave. It was a leap of faith. And I got lucky to be with a great team. And Susan Tobias is unbelievable now running it, but she was a marketing manager when I started. Mickey Mall was incredible. Mike Lotta came over from Adidas. We were the three who started it there. Excuse me. I'm so excited when I talk about it. And it was fun because, again, there was, you know, we were going up against giants, Wilson, Prince, Head, and we were just this brand with a couple rackets and a you know, a player that was, you know, Roddick, really. That's what it was. And and you know, we just kind of put programs together, put good reps in. We did the basics, right? And built relationships. And you know, all of a sudden, you know, we heard that the other brands reps were complaining about us growing, and the other brands were like, yeah, whatever, don't worry about it. And so it was great because we talk to people and they'd be like, you guys are number one and number two in our shops, and we'd be looking at TIA and we're number four, like by way down there. I'm like, man, I don't know when this is going to happen. And then like one day it flipped. It took like about, I don't know, 2.5 years. But then one day it flipped, and when it flipped, we took off. So it was fun. We, you know, great brand. Eric Babolat's awesome. I mean, again, thank you to him. I mean, I have a house because of him too. So
yeah,
there's, you know, there were stories about, you know, him being difficult to work with and the French and blah, blah, blah. And the guy picked me up from the airport the first day I got into Leon. He's like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, you don't seem so bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
But just, yeah, really cool guy. I saw Europe. I've been to Europe several times because of them. You know, I never would have went. So yeah, I have so many great life experiences because of that brand, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
And your time there catapulted you to probably the hottest brand in tennis now, Yonex. Nick asked a funny question about you know, I'm so big on a control-y, sort of a thinner racket, but these Yonex rackets, perhaps because of the isometric head shape, they're so much more powerful than you think. And, you know, Nick Smith's question was, will Yonex come out with a rounder frame, or will they kind of commit to the very rectangular look? Tell us about your current projects and future with Yonex and what the plans are.
Well, that was, you know, I bleed brands, right? Like, you know, I'm not somebody that just shows up and be like, okay, it's a job. Here's my check.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was at Adidas and people came to my house and they had Nike, I made them take it off and I'd give them something with 3-stripe.
Yeah.
I made them, whatever it was, hats, socks, shoe, whatever it was off. Like, they were the enemy, right? Same thing at Babolat. You know, we were going against it. I mean, it was like, you know, we respected the other brands, but they were the enemy, and we were, you know, we took pride in it. And so, you know, I would follow all the college teams, and if anyone had a Babolat racket, I would, you know, like it or retweet it, and I started noticing. I was like, wait, that's not ours. I'm like, who? Oh, that's not ours. And I was like, man, there's a lot of Yonex rackets. Like, I mean, I was like, that was just my little thing, right? It was kind of out of my world. And I would say this, when I go to Texas, I really didn't see it. When I go to Chicago, I didn't see it. When I go to Florida, I didn't see it. But when I go to Southern Cal, double Y was everywhere, right? And so I really was like, boy, this brand has a lot of good stuff going. Like, how they just need someone to kind of get them to go. And I noticed it years before, because I told a friend of mine, I said, hey, you should check this brand out. They're hot. You know? Yeah. It was so weird because it almost happened to me with the same thing with a friend of mine before that who was bummed because he picked up this line called Babel. I was like, I don't know, this isn't that good. I'm like, hey, these guys look good. Something's good here. And later I ended up working for him. So it's kind of funny. Like, it was almost the same conversation. Like, a 2 year before I was there, I was seeing it. And so, yeah, when I was given the opportunity to come to Yonex, it was exciting because I was like, you know, I loved everyone at Babolat, but I felt like it was the most I can go. You know, they kind of were set with Brian there. Brian came over from K-Swiss, and you know, that would have been my spot to move up, and he's going to be there for a while. So, you know, I needed a little bit of a change and something different, and got the opportunity almost 2 years ago now, which is kind of weird to think about.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you know, it's been eye-opening to me, the quality of the brand. When you ask about the isometric, you know, what's interesting, there's two Yoniyamas that worked at the U.S. office. One still does. One is now on the board, the Japanese board.
Really?
Yeah. So, you know, big changes in there. But Yoniyama is the name, right?
Of
so
course.
Yonex is Yoniyama.
Yeah.
I had no idea, right? So I learned
David,
all this.
I gave our mutual friend Mark Gonzalez a metal, you know, isometric shaft that had the Yoniyama logo and the same YY at the bottom. So
they shortened the name to make it more marketable, right? Because Yoniyama probably wasn't as, you know, easier to say. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so, you know, when you talk to them, you know, they really love the heritage of the brand of what their family built. And so I think the isometric head shape is going to stay. I don't really see that changing. And you know, it's definitely not as square as it was back in the day.
It isn't. I have an R22 that's very rectangular.
Yeah.
I use those dual Gs that I love the most, or the current V97. So that's a little more traditional squarish. But then you look at the V-Core, that red one, and it is a little rounder, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's the eye, right? I mean, we're all creatures of habit, right?
Yeah.
When I see a racket, all three of us know. You pick up a racket and you go, yeah,
you know,
like you just know, right? You know, like just the balance or how it's going to feel in your hand.
Yeah.
And then how it's going to look, you know. And again, the first couple I was like, okay, and then I don't even think about it now. And it's not because, you know, I work for the company. It's just I would tell you if it felt weird. It just, you know, the thing for me to get used to was the majority of the rackets are every other racket is made in China. Okay, we went to China again. I went to another country because of Babolat. They took us there, and we saw, you know, head rackets there and Vocal and Babolat and you know, they're all made in the same place, and it's really cool to see because it's amazing how they do it. But you know, our rackets are made in our own factory in Japan.
Yeah.
Right? And so Yonex really takes a lot of pride in the quality and the craftsmanship, and mostly because it's theirs, right? That's that personal thing, right? That's the cool thing about it. It's like, hey, this is what we do, right? This is what we hang on to. And you know, when I tell people about it, you know, and I'm like, the thing that took me a while was they're a little more flexible, right? And so I had to kind of get over that because I was 13 years at Babolat, right? So I was used to that stiff, real stiff frame with that kind of crack sound, right?
Yeah.
And I'm hitting the ball and I'm like, I see it, but I'm not feeling it, right? Right off the bat. Like, I'm not feeling that quick response. But I tell you, it's so much better on your arm. I mean, it's just butter on your arm after. Once you kind of get over that sound and thought, it's the same thing, right? You just hit it in the groove spot and you just go.
Yeah.
But to me, that was the part. It took me a couple months to kind of get used to it, because I wanted that response right away. I was used to that quick cracks response.
You mentioned China and how so many rackets are manufactured there. The tolerances, I spend some time still coaching at a high level and customizing rackets for some college and tour players and a couple of ITF ranked juniors. And you mentioned Sujay Lama. I just did a few for his son, who recently switched from the Strike, Babolat Strike, to the 97, the V Pro 97. And I'm pretty accustomed to, okay, that racket supposed to be 305, but it's 303. That one's 308. We're going to match them all by balance and everything, right? Swing weight, everything. These Yonexes, they're supposed to be 310. They're 310, 311. They're supposed to be 315. They're 316, 315, 314. You get 6 of these, and you don't have a lot of work to do. It's amazing.
Yeah, and that's the pride that this brand comes in. And they make more than just rackets. First of all, badminton, they're the #1 brand globally. They make snowboards. If you watch the Olympics, they had quite a few snowboard medals for sure. So that was really cool. They're used to working with graphite. They make bikes, like high-end road bikes.
Yeah.
20, I can't afford these kind of bikes, or if I did, my wife would leave me probably.
Yeah,
probably can't do that.
Yeah.
I'm looking at some bikes.
Honey, I got it at cost.
I got a great deal on it. It's only $12,000.
Yeah, that's not 20.
It's coming on my check once a month. No, yeah, no. So. But the example though that I was ignorant to, right? I knew about the rackets, right? I knew they were good. And obviously the quality was always talked about. It was the string. I couldn't believe they sold any string. I walked into a shop and I go, "Hey, have you ever tried this Polytour Pro?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's one of our best-selling strings." So I was like, "You sold this before?" I had such blinders on, right? I was just like, I was 2-stripe. I went from 3-stripe blinder to 2-stripe blinder, and so that took me a little while to kind of get used to the fact that they make their own string in their own factory as well.
Yeah.
And the quality of the product, and Polytour Pro is unbelievable. And that string is crazy great. We don't talk about it. We don't put any ads behind it. We don't do anything, and it's our #1 selling string.
It's fantastic. And your players are fantastic. Give us your thoughts. There was a time Yonex was considered, it's mostly women who use it, like Martina Hingis, Martina Navratilova, Monica Seles, the occasional Rios, Krajicek, Nalbandian, Hewitt. But now, my goodness, both genders on the tour, Nick Kyrgios. I think Rick Eckloff mentioned, how is Alexander Sasha Bublik not featured in all the things? He's in he's hilarious too. But of course, Hubie, Tiafoe, all these great, Stan Wawrinka. How have you guys done it? And give us a little roadmap of the future at Yonex.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about the marketing team. They're on top of it globally, and they've put together a stable, right? Look, we're all placing bets, right? This is a giant Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're looking at 12-year-olds right now globally and going, you are the one, right? And then a couple years later, we're like, not you are the one, right? And so we're all doing this. We're all kind of picking the ones right now. Obviously, we're paying the money and stuff, and that is that. But we still are making our dollar decisions, right? Because not everyone has all that money to spend. You got to make your choices work for you, right? I mean, obviously, when you have a Nadal, he's winning championships, or Djokovic, he's winning championships. That money's paying off, right?
Yeah,
you're paying your ad as the 2.5-hour match or 3-hour match, right? You're getting to see that logo, you're getting to see the racket, but yeah, I think that's our team does a good job. We have Luana on our team, and she played at USC. She was number one player at USC,
Uh-huh.
and so and then she taught it. She was the tennis coach at Princeton for a couple years. So she knows a lot of juniors, and she gets out there and is talking to them, and so she's done a great job with our team. Globally, I haven't met everyone at Global yet. I'm going to meet a couple people from Penn Office in a couple weeks out in LA. Can't wait to go to Japan. That's going to be fun. That's going to be exciting. Can't wait to do that. But so far, just been to the LA office, and so we're always looking for the players that move the that was the one thing. Every brand looks at is like, with Kyrgios, or like, I listen to Mad Dog Radio. I don't know if you listen to him. He really talks about tennis. He's the only sports guy nationally talks about tennis. He talked about Wimbledon the whole 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Talked about Djokovic, talked about Nadal. I mean, and you're like, wow, this is great, right? These kids, guys in New York going, hey, I was watching that Djokovic match. Hey, it is great. And I'm like, well, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But he's talking about it, and he's bringing it up. And he, of course, some lady calls and is like, oh, I can't cheer for either one of them, Kyrgios or Djokovic. I don't like either one of them. And I went, you have helped me sell more rackets, because the fact that you don't like Kyrgios makes every kid want to love him.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what they want to be. And Kyrgios would have been the guy I want to be, right? Like he's loves the game. He wants to play, but he's also challenging himself. He doesn't know who he is yet. He loves basketball. He's just like Naomi. I mean, look at the things Naomi does. I mean, she's, a lot of people sit and talk about her and give her a lot of grief. I mean, she's 22 years old. She's the highest paid female athlete in the world. She's trying to figure that out. I mean, first of all, you're trying to figure out who you are at 22, let alone now I'm 22 and I'm the most famous female in the world as an athlete, right? That's got to be just mind-blowing. Like everything you do, everything you say. I mean, remember when she played Coco Golf and she and she goes, no, you come here and you're going to talk to this crowd. Like,
yeah, big hug. Here's the mic.
Who does that?
Amazing voice.
Who does that who has the wherewithal to do that at our age? Who has the wherewithal to do it at 21 or 20, right? Yeah. And so, it's a different athlete, right? We're dealing with different, Kyrgios gets a lot of grief, but like he was really helping out with the wildfires out there in Australia when there were that, and he was really, really helping out with COVID and stuff. Yeah. So, the guy he does a lot of good things. Yeah, I mean, does the guy get after it partying? Okay, well, he's also young and has money. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, we see there's a lot of athletes we talk about every day that do a lot worse. So, and if he brings more eyeballs to the game of tennis, I'm for that, because that's what we need. We need more people that are talking about the game.
No question. And tell us about some future projects. I understand there's some pickleball in the mix for Yonex as well.
Wow, I can talk about this now. That's crazy. See,
I'm looking this up right now as we're speaking. I know where you are and what you're coming up with all of a sudden.
There's pickleball has been in the works for a couple of years. Gun Ho Kim is my boss, and he what's really cool about Gun Ho is, when I got here, people were kind of like, oh, he's really tough to deal with, and he's very regimented, and I got to know him, and I was talking to him, and so he's from Korea, and he was, a manager in Japan. Being from Korea is I mean, that's, you've really gone through the gauntlet, right? You've earned your way through. But he was running Europe for Yonex, and he was running China for Yonex. So two big markets, and then he did such a good job, they sent him over here to the U.S., right? And so, to me, he's the kind of guy that can call up the factory and go, hey, what's going on with our rackets? And he can have that conversation. And I'm like, what's going on with the rackets? And then he can tell us. So he's unbelievable. And I have so much respect for him because he knows what the company does and how it works, right? I'm just some guy selling rackets in the U.S., right? So they don't know me, and I don't really know them. So it's just this thing. He knows the whole corporate structure and how it all works, right? And so he saw pickleball as an option years ago, and started building paddles, and we weren't supposed to talk about it until about a month ago. And so, yeah, they're going to launch, I think, next week. I'm not officially on the pickleball team. That's our other guy, Arnie Hansen, who's our badminton director. He came from ASICS and was running ASICS big time. He's really smart, really good guy. I love working with him. And so he's doing the pickleball side. And it's going to be a slow launch. I can't talk about something that's coming out. I actually could show you, but I can't even talk about it. There is a cool racket coming out. It'll be talked about August 1st, so you can look at that. But I can't tell you anything about that. It's right over there, and I could show it to you, but I can't. I lose my job.
Your pickleball paddles say July 21st, 4 days from now.
Okay. So this week, I was kind of ready. Yeah, it changed a little bit.
Well, that was a good look at current projects as well as future. Craig Bell, we got to go third set here with David. You are the man. Tell us who this is brought to us by and take over, buddy. 3 sets in the third set.
Okay, that would be the great Master Systems and Blair Descaret for any on-court, off-court needs, nets to all sorts of resurfacing, surface work, tennis, pickleball, sport courts, you name it. Our buddy Blair Descaret, who's also a sponsor of our there we go the other way. Our new lids. So we'll get D2 a new lid with the Athenet podcast, sponsored by Master Systems and the great Blair Descaret for D2 for showing up tonight and on Instagram. And he actually made it. He actually we got him. Now he knows how to be on the gram.
Yeah, I was sorry. That's
okay.
We've been doing
It's okay.
I didn't know I knew it's Skype. I didn't know Skype or Zoom. I didn't know what Zoom was until the pandemic. So,
Didn't either.
So this is.
I've learned how to do this. Well, it took me a while to get on. AJ had to show me a couple of times. I'm like, oh, okay. And so he's the master of the Instagram and what's going on. So unfortunately, you were at the shop. It's all torn up. Now there's no more carpet. There's no more walls. That's why we couldn't do the show.
Our studio is gone, and our studio is now here. So folks at home, definitely join us here more often. Craig Bell, 3 sets of the third. Let's do it.
Okay, a couple things that I wanted to ask before we get into this. The first part of this is at Maine West, did you know Jeff Daniel Phillips, the Geico caveman?
No, he was before me, I think, because I was 87. But so the next one you're going to say is I played for the Cardinals. Another guy was a famous guy from Maine West, right? Lindenbaum or Lindenmeyer or Linden
something like this. Yeah. Right. And there's also a guy named Dean Starkey that was to be there at the same time you were. He was a pole vaulter, world champion pole vaulter. Do you remember that guy?
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah. He was a dude. He was a real dude.
Yeah, so
I'll give you a couple things about my area. Maine East is where Harrison Ford went.
Oh, okay.
Maine East, right across the town.
Yep. A little movie everyone's seen called Breakfast Club was filmed at Maine North. Maine North was built because there was so many kids before I was born or before I got to school that they had day and afternoon classes, like early morning and then afternoon. And so they built this brand new school called Maine North. It was only open for 12 years. And so when it shut down, when the population kind of dwindled, the library was there, and that's where they filmed Breakfast Club.
Wow.
Very cool.
John Hughes knew about it and decided, let's film.
Yeah, I have twins that are sophomores in high school, and we've showed them pretty much every movie that we kind of grew up with, and they were like, "Is this another Chicago movie?" And we're like, "Yeah, I guess they all are." It was really weird.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah, Ferris Bueller's in there. Yeah.
Right.
16 Candles.
Right. They're all Chicago.
Glenn Barden. The movie that actually was filmed at the old Arlington High School and Glen Bard West was Lucas.
I remember that movie. Yeah, Lucas. Yeah.
Little kid that was kind of nerdy and played football and got his head rung. Yeah.
Oh, I
we were actually there for the shooting for a couple times.
You were there.
Wow.
Who played him? Was that one of the Coreys? Who was that?
Yeah, I
Haim.
believe you're right. Yeah,
Haim.
Corey Haim. Yeah,
Not Feldman, but Haim. Yeah.
Yeah, Corey Haim. Yeah, I'm sitting here looking up. I can type fast. I'm on the. That was Charlie Sheen, Kerry Green, Winona Ryder. So, just if you're scoring at home, so if you want to write that down, please do it so ever gently. But all right, let's get going on. One other thing, really quick. All right, Now you forgot one of the most famous Yonex personalities ever that probably put a lot of Yonex in a lot of people's hands was the great AK known as Anna Kornikova. You guys, I can't believe you guys forgot about Anna Kornikova because I forgot. I'm so glad I got to know you. You know, I mean, that's
and the hockey crossover because she dated Sergei Fedorov.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what really got Yonex. I mean, Martina Hingis, Martina Navratilova, but it was really, a person.
Well, the rumor was they always wanted a very attractive blonde. That was always kind of the rumor they had.
Well, they got one
against them all the time. They always kind of had one.
Yes, I mean that gal, and I thought she was a decent player. I mean, she looked really good too.
Semis of Wimbledon and won some slams in dubs.
No, I tell you what, that's the biggest. Well, first of all, I'll do this. Do two things.
Yeah.
When everyone says greatest player of all time, it's Martina Navratilova. There is no doubt. Greatest tennis player of all time, hands
Doubles,
down.
singles.
I will bar fight with anyone who wants to go with me on it. The story I heard when she played with one of the Bryan brothers and won at 50, the mixed.
Unbelievable.
Apparently, she grabbed him and said, "We are not losing this match." And he was like, I better serve well. That was the story I heard. I don't know if it's true or not, but and she plays hockey too, by the way.
She does.
She plays hockey. She plays in a women's league up in Vail. Yeah.
So good.
Just a freak. I mean, the stuff that she went through. That's number one. Number two, with Kornikova, look at the players she would have played in the round of 16. Mm-hmm. Serena or Venus, Graf.
Yep. Celis.
Yep. Hingis.
Sometimes Justine and
right.
I mean, it was murderer's row. So that's just to get to the quarters. Who are you playing then? You know what I mean?
Right.
The singles was crazy back then, how good it was. But she won how many doubles? I mean, she won 8, I think, at least 5 or 6 Grand Slam doubles tournaments. So
number 1 in the world too, I believe.
Hey, you win a Grand Slam in mixed or anything, you're a baller. Yeah,
right.
In my book.
Yep, pretty damn good. Just even get to some of those places. I would have loved to have played at Wimbledon or the French Open, just to step foot out there and say I played the qualifying. That would have been, that's a big deal. I mean, we all realized that we weren't bad, but these people were, another cut up there, up above. So, to be able to play in those kind of situations and have, that many eyes prying on you. And it's totally different. Like we said with Osaka, I think that's a really interesting point. At age 21, 22, I would have wrapped my Porsche around the light pole probably at 2 a.m. at some nightclub after I was visiting Oklahoma City. There was no way I would have been that type of person who could have handled, even at 62, 40 years ago, I can't imagine, I have limited knowledge, up here sometimes, but not at 22. I can guarantee you that. So, but anyway, all right, so let's go into the first set.
Sorry, fans going on.
All right, here we go.
Getting warm here.
All right, so the first time we met you, really, and saw you in action was in the 2011 down at the Davis Cup in Austin, and I didn't realize the great John Albrecht told us to come to this party on 6th Street, the infamous 6th Street in Austin, and Dave Dwelle was going to be there with his band, and we were like, what? And then all of a sudden I show up, and here's D2 up on the bar, playing, playing the guitar, and I was like, holy crap, this guy can actually, he's got some chops, musical chops. And you proceeded to, have probably a 2-hour set there. And I was like, man, I'm impressed with this guy. Not only is this guy, muy inteligente, he can also strum the 6-string pretty good,
Well, Wow. Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
So first of all, I got in major trouble for that party.
No, you didn't.
Mickey Mall will still probably would like to wrap my head around a pole after I had to turn in the barbell because Bob Rash was supposed to make sure the barbell was only this, and it got to like that, and I was like, we had to turn in that expense report. It was not fun. Yes, that was a fantastic party. Had the best time. Flew my buddy Paul Lodi in, and Paul Lodi is a machine.
Yeah.
I equate singing in a band kind of like picking a right doubles partner, right?
Right.
Like if you're playing with, one of the Bryan brothers, you're going to look pretty good no matter what you do. So you pick someone who's very talented, and that you just kind of float in and out of it, and things are good. So Paul came down. He was the real talent. I just kind of messed around. But
I don't think so.
Actually, tennis started me playing music.
Really?
So my dad was in a band. My mom was in a band. My sister's the real talent. My sister's an opera major from USC. Her voice is sick. Like her voice is sick.
Wow.
I really wish I could get her in a band because she's incredibly talented.
Interesting.
So John Metzger, who played at Illinois State, played 3 for them and 2 doubles. Great player. Real nice guy. Was a school psychologist and would teach tennis part-time. And so we taught at Bannockburn Bath and Tennis with Ron Rocky and Mike Carrico is the director of tennis. Thank you, Mike. Mike's my favorite people in the world. Mike would have a Christmas party, and he said, "Hey, one day we were this is so stupid. I can remember like it was yesterday. We're pulling balls out as the summer, and I think I was just so stupid. I was singing More Than Words by a band from Boston.
Mr. Big? No.
No, gosh.
No, More Than Words. Gino something is the guy's name. I can picture him. Yeah. Curly long hair.
Anyways, so we're singing More Than Words.
Yeah.
And
Extreme.
Yep. And so he's singing the high part, and I'm singing the low part, and so he goes, "Hey, you guys should sing, the Christmas party." And so it's like, well, whatever. So we learned a couple songs. He played guitar, I didn't, and I was teaching tennis, and I stepped on a ball, and I tore my hip flexor, and so I bought a guitar, and I just started learning, and so I learned "Into Your Arms" by the Lemonheads, and it's pretty simple chord structure, a couple easy changes. I still hear that song today, and I'm like, I can't even play it anymore because I played it for so many hours, trying to learn how to play, and so then we started playing. We did the Christmas party together the next year where I played some, and then we started playing open mic nights, and we needed a name, and so we actually started a Jonathan's brother Sean, Jonathan Albrecht. Rest in peace, my favorite people in the world. Yeah. His brother Sean, who's my Yonex rep in Chicago now. Him and I started a website. He developed it. We created it. So I don't want to take all the accolades. It's called NameMyBand.com. If you go to NameMyBand.com, we have all crazy names on there. So if you ever need a name for a band,
it's there.
Go there, and you'll find something. There's some funny names in there if you ever just want to just make yourself laugh. So Scratch and Sniff was the name we came up. I was Scratch, he was Sniff.
Yeah.
And so we would open up for this guy named Paul Lodi, and Paul Lodi would play bass when we did Scratch and Sniff Deluxe. And so we would play for like 4 hours at a place called Dirty Nelly's, this small room, and we had like 4 hours. It's 3 songs, 3 minutes or 4 minutes per song. I mean, it's a lot of songs, and so
yeah, right.
You kind of get, we got good. We got good as far as like, we were, our harmonies were really good. Those recordings that you have, I had a cold. I'm doing the high harmony on most of that. But yeah, it was fun. Again, I was kind of in a band and then kind of teaching tennis and then kind of being a rep. So I wasn't really doing anything really right. I was kind of just like, all over the place, but had a lot of fun and really one of the reasons why I wanted to be in a band, because I was broke. I didn't have any money. And so they would pay me $100 cash a night, and I could drink for free. So that kind of was a good combo. Didn't spend any money, and I made money, and then that was and I had fun.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's probably some people who probably maybe came up to you afterwards that might have been a good way to meet the opposite sex. Maybe not that you haven't, you've been married a long time, so not trying to give up the goods.
This is before, texting and Instagram. And there was a band called Mike and Joe. We were the poor man's Mike and Joe. Mike and Joe would learn if a new song came out. I think Closing Time came out. They played it like the next day, like note for note. And we're like, how did they learn this song? We literally would be like, but they started in Indiana University, and they'd have this. So you'd have a sign-up sheet, right? So they'd send a mailer. Literally, we'd send out a mail.
Old school mail.
Like this is like that's how old I am. It was no like posting on Instagram, posting on Facebook. It was we sent a mailer. You got a card that said, "Hey, we're here."
Right.
And they would always play the introduction to all freshmen, and so they would have another 700 new people that would get to see them, and they'd sign up, and then they would play all the colleges because the colleges have all this money to spend, and so they would play like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, U of I, Northern Illinois, Western Michigan, and then Saturday, Sunday they'd play somewhere and make bank. I mean, like 10, 12 grand a night.
Oh,
wow! And, they were making some coin. Yeah.
Wow.
But because they had that list, right? So they would literally send out this mailing list, and it would be 20,000, 30,000 people. And so we would be in the small room, they'd be in the big room. We would go, oh, it'd be nice to be those guys. But we thought we could sing as good as them, but they were incredible musicians. They were, like I said, they would be like note for note, whatever the new song was. They're like, oh, what's this? Oh, okay, we were going to play it.
Yeah. That's. I think you did pretty well though. When I saw you in action and to see your set list that you sent to AJ, that's still pretty darn impressive. So who's your favorite band? Just out of curiosity, who's your favorite band or favorites? Do you have any favorites?
Well, the Bodines would be the one that got me to where I'm at. If you know, they're from Waukesha, Wisconsin. Yep. My freshman year at College of DuPage, there was a speech teacher, and she was young, probably just out of school, had braces. And so I was probably kind of infatuated with her a little bit. And she's like, my favorite band's the Bodines. And I'm like, well, that's now my favorite band.
Guess what?
No, I mean, I literally probably just bought the CD because she talked about it. And then I followed them. They were local. They played Chicago all the time. I've seen them at a gym. I've seen them at a block party, and I've seen them open up for U2, and I was the only one standing up. So I was third row to see them, and it was pretty incredible. I love their harmonies. I love everything they did. But Earth, Wind, and Fire. My dad raised me on them. One of the greatest bands of all time. I kind of have I like to say there's like a list, like what's your 10 greatest songs, like songs you just cannot live without, and there's quite a few of those on there. Bands. I just saw the Black Crowes, which I told you about, Craig, when we saw each other. Yep. They were fantastic. I mean, I was blown away with how good they were, how good they sound. Played Shake Your Moneymaker from front to back, and I was like, man, it was just like I was back in whenever that came out 30 years ago. So
I think 1990 probably.
Yeah, so it was great to see them. And
what about Chicago Transit Authority? You didn't like those guys?
This is a funny story. Played golf today with this young kid, and I put on Chicago.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Wow, this is Chicago." Because my dad loves these guys. Yeah. I'm like, I'm probably your dad's age. It's really kind of odd. So I'll tell you a great story about that. My dad grew up with this guy named Nick DeBrown. Nick DeBrown was the best jazz guitar player in Chicago.
Yeah.
Tried out for this band. They liked him, and he said, "Nah, I don't know. I'm not really into that." That band was CTA.
Yeah.
CTA.
And every day, every time everyone saw him, was like, "Hey, how's that Chicago?"
Yeah, right. How's that going?
He got a little grief for turning that one down. But
gosh,
that Chicago, love Chicago.
Being from around that era, and then when you said Earth, Wind, and Fire, who from the Chicago area, Chicago area right there. Boy, there's some great bands. I just looked up all the bands that came out of Chicago. There's quite a number of bands
You got Styx, you got REO Speedwagon, you got a band that no one knows is that you should is why can't I remember it? Bad Examples. The Bad Examples.
Bad Examples. I think Smashing Pumpkins is from Chicago too.
Smashing Pumpkins from Chicago. Yep, correct.
Wilco. I think Wilco's looks like Wilco's from
because Will County.
Is that what that stands for? Okay.
Wilco. I don't know. I always took a guess that was what it was.
There's
As I passed the sign that said Will County, I was like, that's got to be Wilco.
Yeah, Wilco. Right.
Cheap Trick is from Rockford.
Yes,
which
Cheap
is
Trick.
a suburb.
Love Cheap Trick. They're one of my favorite bands out there. They were pretty big.
Who can resist the charisma of a
But Bunny Carlos hitting the skin, smoking a cigarette.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I saw them in concert in Norman, Oklahoma. They were awesome. They were at OU. So one night I think I might have been there. I might have been awake. I don't know. I'd had maybe an adult beverage or two at that point. So
you're supposed to at those things.
Oh man, they were
Life
awesome.
Living.
Right. So let me ask you a question. About being in a band, and I mean, we've asked this of a lot of people. I know kind of where you stand on the band, but I want to make sure that everybody knows this. Would you rather be like the lead singer or like in the back rhythm guitar? Are you more of the front man? Or are you more the guy that is kind of in the back, just kind of strumming? And because I know you play guitar really well.
No, I was not a very good guitar player. Like I said, when like you have a bad backhand and you play the right side to make sure whoever you're playing is not going to hit that as much as possible.
Right.
It's kind of the same thing. We would laugh because we'd be playing and we'd play the same song, set list, over and over again, and you forget what chord the hardest thing is when you're singing. It's like, where am I in this song? Like, okay, what's the next word? What's the next chord, right? And so, if John would mess up or I would mess up, we'd laugh at each other. In that band, I probably was more the lead, just as far as like more of like an MC to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I kind of am a little mouthy. If you haven't noticed from this little podcast, I've been talking a lot. So
that's good. That's what we want.
When you put a mic in my hand, then it's all bets off, and I'm pretty much going to control the room. But I also think I brought John out a lot. I think John's voice is beautiful, and he could play guitar. He was a fantastic guitar player, and so I would try to showcase him as much as possible. And everyone said his voice is angelic. So I call him probably once a year or text him once a year, and I'm like, man, I just miss our time together. It was just great. It was so much fun. Every once in a while, Paul will come to town in Atlanta, and we'll play, and just play for fun. And again, it's the same thing. It's like I fall right back into it. It's like, man, this is great.
Yeah, no, there's you can tell that you enjoy what you do and being up on stage. A perfect showman. Was there anybody that you would say you kind of patterned your style after? Did you like somebody around Chicago area from the Bodines, or maybe from Extreme, or maybe were you like a Mick Jagger, up there, or were you David Lee?
I think that's kind of like. It's kind of like tennis, right? You kind of fall into your own thing. Like there's people you emulate. You like, oh, I'd like to have that serve. Who is that? Well, here's a Yonex player, Paradon Srishapan. Remember Paradon Srishapan?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Didn't he marry Miss Universe or something like that?
I think she was Miss Canada, who probably went on to Miss Universe.
Yeah.
Natalie something.
Good,
Yeah.
good work, my friend. Anyways, didn't he have what was the combination? It was Sampras's serve. It was Lendel's backhand. It was, remember he had
and he wanted to be Edberg level volleys, and he could do splits before Clijsters and Djokovic made it famous.
Correct. And Paradon was an Adidas guy, so I loved him. Always wanted him to win. He never could pull it off, but that guy was a freak. Loved his game.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like that, right? You got to find your own. You got to find your own style. You got to find what works for you. And I think when we saw the Black Crows, you saw what a rock star is, right?
Yeah, Chris, rock star, Rich with the guitars.
Just Chris took it was a rock. Like you're like, okay, this is a rock star. We saw my wife and I saw No Doubt, and Gwen Stefani came out in San Diego, and I mean, you're just like, she just stalked the stage and just owned it. You're like, oh no, this crowd is hers now. Like it was like there was no Bruno Mars. Have you ever seen Bruno Mars? I mean, you just like, you're on his ride, right? You're like, okay, where is he taking us?
Yeah.
And once you get on that ride, you're like, okay, and you're kind of jealous because you're like, I can't do any what this guy's doing. Like this guy is just, he's next level, dancing, singing, whatever he wanted to do, he just owned it. And it was really cool. It's great to see, but it's like watching a great tennis player. It's like watching Djokovic, right? Like he dismantling people. You're like, how does he do that?
How to hit that backhand? That backhand cross court, was it 2 weeks ago at Wimbledon? We did the splits, and I hit a cross court for a winner. Was it on Sinner? I think was it.
It was against Yannick Sinner. And
you just sit there
on the ground, and he put his arms up like an airplane. And I thought, rock star reaction to an amazing shot.
Right.
Well, when Kyrgios played that the round before that, we played that guy, the guy who had the good run from.
Was it Christian Garin or?
Yeah, we played Garin. If you watch me say after the match, he said, I was on my back heels the whole match because Garin was ripping balls, but he was hitting half volley winners from the baseline. That we all know that you can't do that.
Right.
And I watched and I went, oh, I don't know how he just did that. Right. And of course it's the racket and the strings.
Yeah.
But no, it was
right.
It's because he's just a freak. Right. And so it's the same thing. It's like, and I try to tell my son's playing piano. He's a very good piano player and saxophone player and choir. He is a freak. And he's very talented and he can read music. So way better than anything I can do. But I told him and I said, hey, Blake, what's going to happen is you're going to meet somebody one day that just will defy the odds, right? And you're going to don't have the moment where you start thinking you're not good enough. Just be you. Don't worry about that other person. You just put them in a category of, I'm not going to even be able to explain this, because there's the story of Tiger Woods before he got to Stanford. The number one player for Stanford was the best player in the country, and he heard Tiger Woods' sound of the swing, and he went to change it, and he changed clubs, and then he quit. Right? Like just the sound of the shot, not before he saw it. Right? And so, that's that learning lesson of like, just like losing 0-7 in a third set tiebreaker, right? Like, my favorite story about Mark Boris. We were playing, and Mark was big hitter. He aces my partner, he aces me, aces my partner. I'm like, he's not going to ace us out of this side. There's no way, right? Hits the ball, ace, and I go. He walks up to the net, and he's a big dude, and he goes, sure about that? And I just look down, I'm like, that's out.
No.
So he revs back and hits one this much further in, and he goes, is that one out too? And I go, nope. I go, nope.
Good shot.
And so, if I run into him to this day, I'll tell him that story because it's exactly that. What's really interesting, I was talking about this, is Suji I played college tennis against. He's a coach at North Texas.
Yep.
Boris I played high school against. He's at Tulane. And then the head coach of Middle Tennessee State, I taught tennis.
You taught him.
Yeah. So how weird is that, right?
That's awesome. That's quite a trio.
Yeah. It's very odd, you know.
Yeah.
But
like you said, tennis is a small world. We all are probably 2 degrees of separation from everybody.
Sometimes
basically
1, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, well, let's go into the second set real quick, and we've got a couple more. Because I don't want to keep you up too late. Because I know
I got nowhere to go. So
okay.
Whatever you want me to do.
First paid job. What's your first paid job out there? What were you throwing papers in Chicago, the Chicago, Sun Times or something?
First paid job.
Grocery store, down the street.
I worked the concession stand at the ice rink. The Park Ridge ice rink. Yeah.
Really? Selling Cokes and popcorn and all that kind of stuff?
Pretzels and nachos. They made the nacho cheese. You don't want to eat that. Whatever you do, don't eat that nacho cheese. It's not from this world. So
it's got more plastic in it than this butt cap.
Correct.
That Kraft Velveeta cheese. Oh man, that's supposed to be really good for you.
It wasn't Kraft. Well, the thing when we poured it. It was Park District level cheese.
Right.
Whatever that.
Okay.
Industrial. Was my first job.
How old were you? Were you like 12, 13?
No, I didn't work till later, and not because I don't know. I just started late with everything. I just kind of was drifting around, and I don't know. My buddies, my Truesdale's Tom, who I played doubles with, and his brother Jerry. His dad owned a tire company. And
wait, the Truesdales named their kids Tom and Jerry?
Yes, they did. Tom and Jerry.
Good. I like that.
Yeah. And so one day they're like, "Hey, we want to go down. We're gonna mow my dad's lawn. We'll get paid, whatever." Right? And so we worked. I mean, we worked our tail off. This thing was like a huge area. I think I got $10 or something. I was like, this was not worth $10. We're putting stuff away, and I'm like, I don't know what labor union I got to start talking to. This is not worth it.
Got to talk to the Teamsters there in Chicago. So, what do you like to watch? Movies, TV, Netflix? Or do you just watch old tennis reruns of Rafa Nadal and Boris Becker?
I like to watch. Did I send you that match, AJ? Did I send you that match that?
It was a YouTube link on Instagram, so I would have had to. I didn't catch it. Who were the players?
Yeah,
it was grass court match. It was Edberg and it was Vilander v. Pat Cash.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was fun to watch.
Love
Pat Cash was the Mag Pro, which that's why I played college with.
Yeah, the kind of a smaller-headed version. Yeah.
Yeah, he played with a 90. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Pat Cash was a Yonex player as well by the end.
He was. Yeah.
Was he
me
really?
throwing in all this? Yeah.
Huh. I always thought he's the Prince guy. The Prince Warrior. You're not supposed to say Warrior anymore.
That's right. Oh, Warrior, certainly Pat Rafter. Cash used that magnesium later on.
Oh, Pat Cashy.
Before that, Cashy used that Slazenger V24 that I loved.
A wooden racket, right?
That's right. That's right.
Graphite, open head.
With the greatest day of tennis.
That 1984, September in New York City,
that was awesome.
That was the distance. 5 sets, Johnny over
5-3-5.
Johnny over Jimmy, and then 6-4 in the third, Martina and Chris, and then of course 5 sets, Lendl somehow beating Cash that day.
Yeah,
that's the greatest day. I understand why they want to showcase other matches, but the problem that tennis has is going up against once the pigskin's kicked.
Yeah,
you got to get off TV.
Right.
I mean, I hate to say it, but that's just the way it should be. You've got. I mean, you really should finish on Labor Day.
Right. That's what I was wondering. If you could start a week earlier. I know it's going to be hotter than who done it up in New York, but hey, who cares? At least you're through on Labor Day weekend.
Because once they kick it, and they keep moving it forward even more, but I mean, it's just tough. It's tough to compete with that. Man, NFL football is a beast. Even golf knows it. Golf's like, we want to be done by this day.
Right. No, I've always wondered why tennis just didn't shoot back 1 week. That'd be the logical thing. Finish up on Labor Day weekend, and that'd be it. And even though you're into college football a little bit, pro football really hadn't started, and you don't have to worry about ratings and that kind of stuff. You're done.
Well, how much better would U.S. tennis be if the U.S. Open was where the French Open is, the start of the summer?
Brilliant.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Right. I mean, because unfortunately, most places in the country are two areas they could play a little bit longer, but end of September, it's going right into winter. I mean, you got to get an indoor club, and now you got to through more hoops. It's just not as easy.
If they flipped, that would be an interesting.
It would help point. American tennis. It would help American tennis.
Yeah, because I mean,
you asked what I watched. Yeah, I don't really watch much anymore. I guess I watch a lot of house stuff with my wife. I like Impractical Jokers. I watch that.
Oh,
Makes me laugh.
Yeah, those guys are funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen those guys. I know what you're talking about.
That's my before I go to sleep kind of show.
That's like the Three Stooges. They're the Four Stooges. They just do crazy. They just do crazy stuff. They just go out there, and some of the stuff they put. I'm always wondering if people are thinking, wait a minute, we've got to be getting punked here or something. If you had those guys show up and they were doing some of those crazy stunts that they're doing or skits, you're going, I'd start looking around going, wait a minute, there's got to be something going on here.
Well, what turned me was and I didn't watch it for a long time, but then someone talked about the episode where he had to talk to ladies in labor about giving birth, and then he didn't know that he was going to get hooked up to this machine that was going to simulate birth. And so he's like, because the 8 or number 8 was like the one where you were going to feel the most pain, and he's like, this is at 6. He's like, this is at 6.
Yeah.
And he's hitting the thing. He's like, get this baby out of me.
Right.
It is the funniest thing in the world. And these ladies are just look at him like, what are you doing?
Right. They're funny guys. They come up with some interesting stuff. I mean, I don't know how they've done all those episodes too, because that takes a lot of thought, just a lot of thinking. I know they're funny people, because a couple of them are comedians, I think, that actually have a show and do their own stand up and that kind of stuff. So yeah, funny guys.
They were pitching shows for years. So they were always pitching show ideas, and that was the one that finally caught on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're funny guys. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Are you a breakfast guy, lunch guy, dinner guy?
Probably a lunch guy now.
Lunch? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do
breakfast, I kind of just do a shake, and then because really my work doesn't start till 11:30, because of the West Coast time. So I'll take calls and stuff. Hold on a second, my son's at me. Hold on. Hey Charles, I'm on a call. Can you talk to Mom, please? Oh, I'm opening Capri Sun here. Hold on.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
It's live. That's okay.
Right.
It's live on.
Yeah, that's fine.
This is what I do as a dad. So
love it. Generation Jukebox.
Right.
There you go. Thank you. Thanks, Charles. Can you close the door, please? Thank you. Oh,
Generation Jukebox opening something for Generation Juicebox.
Right.
I took them to a retro arcade last night. We went to a
Nice.
retro arcade. Yeah, played a joust. I haven't played joust in forever.
I remember that game. Yeah.
Game is really stupid. The birds and the eggs. I was trying to figure out who created this.
My game was Asteroids. I loved Asteroids.
Yeah, the problem is you don't have control over that ship. You realize you're that thing is free flowing.
Oh, it is. I know. That's the hard part about Asteroids. I could get pretty close to winning. I thought pretty good, but never could really get it exactly because I'd always get
winner in my book.
No, I get smacked. I spent a lot of quarters at the 7-Eleven in Oklahoma City. My parents wondered how I spent all that money back then, on Asteroids. But lunch.
Did you have money? Did you have money for your Dr. Pepper Slurpee with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I was working at Wood Lake Racket Club, man. I was making $1.50 an hour. I was banking, money at age 14.
So what was your first teaching job, and how much did you make? That's always my favorite one.
Teaching job. Well, I did a little bit in college. I wasn't supposed to do that, and I taught it in Ogden, Utah for Kind of very badly. I remember my first lesson. I always feel like I need to pay those guys back, and because I asked the guy that I was working with, Brad Lowe. I go, Brad, what should I do? He goes, just do whatever you do in practice. And so I remember, I was feeding balls, and I said, okay, all right, now. Teddy, come over here, and I want you to feed balls. So I went through the line also too, and just started running around with them, acting like I was in line with. And I'm sure they were dying laughing. They were just kids in high school, and that was funny. But my first professional job was in '84 in Oklahoma City, and I remember working for Phil Lancaster, and I told him I bought his first BMW because I punched out 70,000 one year at $28 an hour. And if you do the math on that, I was working about 60 hours a week.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of lessons. Yeah. Yes. And so Phil always, he and I are still really good friends. And so he helped me get to where I am. So, speaking of people that, do you a solid, if you work hard in the industry, typically people know that you're really, putting yourself out there. So I was fortunate enough to come in contact with Phil and make $35,000. That was my first year. I was making $28 an hour. I was like, all right, man, because I was only making $14 an hour at Ogden Athletic Club. So I thought, man, $28 an hour. I can do this. I'm doubling my pay. I mean, the world is great, right?
AJ, what was yours?
Look at David turning around on us a little bit.
Right.
For me, it was summer of '86. Ron Holmberg's tennis camp. The first.
By the way, Ron Holmberg is one of the greatest tennis human beings of all time. I actually have a handwritten letter from him.
Oh, Ron Holmberg.
I know Ron very well.
Wow.
I have too many stories about Holmberg and his entire family, but I will tell you the first 6 weeks I was a junior counselor. It was basically a 24-hour-a-day job, and it was $50 a week. The last 2 weeks of summer, I was promoted to a regular counselor, and it was $150 a week. And I still have the pair of Varney sunglasses that I bought with
the attachments.
I didn't have those things.
Oh man,
they're just normal ski glasses, and
those are the cat eyes, right?
Right.
Cat eye,
Varney
cat eye blue.
Eyes.
Yes,
very good.
Wow.
So, I wish I could tell you I bought it at the academy or whatever, but it was like if you had a Friday night off, you were either like trying to drink with the townies or you're going to the city and you buy either fake stuff from Canal Street or real stuff wherever you could find it. So I still have the glass. I should be wearing them right now, but it's nighttime. But
did you wear the glacier? Did you have the glacier glasses with like the
side?
Yeah, the leather side straps, right?
They had them, but I mean, you could buy all that, but it was just
right. No, you didn't go for that.
Varneys, and somehow they're still in great shape.
Wow, Varney, what a name! I hadn't thought about those guys forever. That was huge.
Summer of '86, man. Can you guys remember the movies from that summer?
'86.
The Jerk.
Yeah.
No, I'm not that old, but
Meatballs.
Yeah, that's like 80.
Close.
That's like 80. For me, it was Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which is why I wanted to mention it.
In Chicago.
Chicago native, yeah.
Right.
And last time I was in the great city, we did a Ferris Bueller tour of it was a little touristy, a little hokey, not as good as the architecture tour, but that was kind of fun.
Three Amigos was out there. Three Amigos. That was an '86 movie. So I'm very fast at stealthy like on
well
those things.
Done.
Yes, Three Amigos was really funny. That was Chevy Chase, Marty Short, and
like right after that was I see New York Fred for you mentioning October.
Right.
Steve Martin was in that.
Steve Martin. That's right.
That's right. When Buckner let that ball go at first. So good on you, Fred, for remembering that. Top Gun. I think that wasn't the summer, but that was in that year too. Yeah.
About Ferris Bueller. Yeah, Ferris Bueller. Yeah, that was such a great movie. Yeah.
Back to School, Rodney Dangerfield. Yeah. That was in that summer. I'm just trying to think back because Holmberg did the two buses to wherever you wanted to go, and some people go to the mall and some people go to the movies, and clearly I was on the movie bus.
So you didn't do Meatballs, Did you? Yeah, remember that? No, that was a little earlier. That was Bill Murray's kind of like late 70s.
It just doesn't matter.
This is the year you beat the stomach.
That's right.
No, it's the one over there. It's saying.
Being a counselor at camp, I always wanted to do that. I always thought that'd be the greatest thing, because I never went to camp really.
The greatest scene ever is when he goes, $1,000 a week. Can you imagine? He goes, you bet it is, from Camp Mohawk. He goes,
Right.
I'm sorry, who we are? Jerry Aldini. I'm the camp counselor.
Right.
And he talks about all things. They'll be hunting and trapping their own bear this year. Yasser Arafat will be coming with our talk in the round.
That's right.
This is amazing.
Right. Right. Yeah, that was some funny stuff. Yeah, they just had Bill Murray is just, he hit his stride right there in the late 70s into the early mid 80s. Gosh, he had some funny stuff out there that was just unbelievable, with Harold Ramis, also too, his buddy Harold Ramis, the great Harold Ramis, who was very much under I don't think he's underappreciated, because that dude was funny, because he wrote a lot of the.
Well, he wrote Caddyshack.
Yeah, that was really funny stuff.
And Brian Doyle Murray. Brian Doyle Murray was the guy who ran the Caddyshack.
Yes. The great what was his name?
Lou's been losing at the track.
Right. We got no 25-cent Coke no more. We got 50-cent Coke.
Hey, you ain't getting no Coke.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Punch that screen. So yeah, what's up? After Lou said, "Get out of here." Hey, what's up, Danny?
I said earlier. He goes, "How was it?" He goes, "Must not have been that good." So my buddy Joe and I, we talk together. We always talk about The Jerk, which is one of our favorite things. And I was actually going to do it. It was like, who is Nathan Johnson?
Yes, right. I just love when he goes, "I'm somebody."
I'm glad I got that in.
I'm somebody. I'm in the phone book.
This guy hates these cans.
Yeah,
he hates these cans.
I was born.
I want to guess your weight. Yeah. This is great. I've been doing it the whole time.
The opening line: "I was born a poor black child."
Oh yeah, David.
She sounds like a nice lady.
Yeah, they were funny people. All that stuff. In that time frame, I know we're products of that era, basically, but that was some really good stuff that was going on between several people. I don't know if there's any writing like that. There wasn't any politics involved. There was maybe, but
Fast Times at Ridgemont High is one of my favorite movies of all time. I mean,
yes.
I still order when I'm on a date. The lady will have the linguine with white clam sauce and a Coke with no ice.
With no ice.
Right. Oh, funny stuff. Mr. Hand. Mr. Hand. Love Mr. Hand.
Hey, Debbie, kiss me. You won't regret it.
I still play Led Zeppelin 2, but it's Led Zeppelin 4, really. But but I still play that in the car.
Oh man, yeah. There's so many funny movies.
I'm sorry your sister's radio got stolen.
They've had some funny stuff. Just some wacky stuff on that deal. Yeah, I'll have what she's having. Yes. Even Fred. Fred. Come on.
Do you know who? Well, first of all, Fast Times. The music in that movie is great. Do you know who the lady was that he pulled up and saw in the car?
Oh yes.
When he's the Captain Hook, Captain.
Oh, that's right. Judd,
the blonde girl.
Yeah. Yes. Was that
Rockstar? I'll give you Rockstar.
I'm thinking of White Star's. What's her name? Yes. Oh, gummit.
Two sisters.
Yes. Okay.
One of the Hart gals and
correct.
Wilson.
He's getting there. Yes.
And Wilson.
Yes.
Nancy. I think it was
Nancy. Was it Nancy? Right.
I think it was Nancy.
Yeah, it was probably Nancy.
I think it was Nancy.
Yeah.
They were pretty. They were very cute back in the day. Very nice looking ladies.
She was dating the guy who did that movie, and then she did all the music for it.
Ah, interesting.
She picked all the music for it.
Great stuff.
How did you know all this stuff? So you know all these backstories here.
I'm the king of useless knowledge. That's the one. That's probably my title. I think it should be on my card. I know a lot of dumb things.
Nancy Wilson, yes, beautiful girl. Nancy Wilson says beautiful girl. That was her title.
Yes. Yep.
But king of useless trivia, right?
Yeah,
you'd be good for Jeopardy.
I'm really good at trivia night. I'm good at trivia night because I just know dumb stuff.
All right. Well, speaking of smart stuff, now we're going to transition. All right. So we always like to ask the guests about dinner. Let's say that we're having dinner somewhere. We might even have it in Atlanta, or we might have it, maybe in Chicago,
Not
whatever.
Atlanta, the food here sucks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we have
Dallas
a pizza.
has good food.
Dallas is pretty good food. Yeah, we know some local places that are pretty decent around. So let's say that AJ and I, we know we'd invited to this shindig, hoedown party, whatever you want to call it. Who are some guests that you would like to invite? They can be from any time in history, all the way back to Adam and Eve, all the way up to today. Maybe somebody in the metaverse. Doesn't matter. So it's just your party. Maybe a Mount Rushmore, or maybe more. There's some people out there that D2 would like to have this nice get together.
I would like people to have good stories, right? Because I think the one thing I've I had a goal in college. I wanted to leave a bar with the light when it's daylight.
Ooh.
Right? Like open the door and it's daylight, right?
Right.
So I accomplished that. But anyways, the point is but you have stories, right? And so I remember my dad's friends telling me a story when the legal drinking age was like 16 in Montana or something. They drove to Montana to get a 6-pack of beer out of Chicago. I go, no, that's a great story, right? No matter what.
Right.
Like that's just a fantastic story. And so life is about how many good stories you have, right? Because if you don't have good stories, no one's going to want to sit and have a conversation with you, right? So I would like to pick, the guy I just saw somebody did on 60 Minutes. Is it Wertheim? That's the
John
writer?
Yeah,
John
Wertheim.
I love everything that guy brings up. Love it. I would love to sit down with him because I know he would have such great stories, and I would just be like, tell me more, please. Just like that. That is cool. So he'd be one of them. It's weird. I just thought about that today. Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
I'm from Chicago. So, I just love to hear the stories.
Back in the day with the Bulls.
All the players. It was really funny. My son was talking about Larry Bird or something. Was that Larry Bird? And I go, you ever seen Larry Bird? And he's like, no. And so I show him some highlights, and I go, well, my favorite highlight is the 3-point contest. And he goes, well, why? And I go, first of all, he walked in, and he goes, when he walked into the locker room, and he goes, who's coming in second? That's what he said.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
And so he gets to the final rack, and he's down. He's got to hit the last 3. And he hits 1, he hits 2, hits the strike ball. He throws it up, and as soon as he lets go, he just puts his arm up, number 1, and just starts walking away. Doesn't even watch it go in. And I go, that was Larry Bird.
Right.
I go, that's who that was.
Right.
And so then I showed him Magic Johnson, and then I showed him, so it was like, these are things he hasn't seen. So it was fun. It was like, then I showed him Dr. J, where he takes that ball underneath, and I'm like, he made that shot, right?
Right.
Gosh, who else? That'd be someone in music. Rick Rubin.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to hear a story from Rick Rubin.
Yep.
He's produced
Beastie Boys, The Cult, all these incredible bands.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. I think if I'm not mistaken, he did Johnny Cash's last album, which won a Grammy. That would be one. So funny, another tennis story. The buyer at Tennis Warehouse, John Hale, great guy, one of my favorite people. He's from Mississippi.
Yep.
And he was a Prince rep out of California for years. Mm-hmm. So you probably knew him from maybe Prince, maybe.
I knew Johnny.
Yeah.
Johnny Hale. He was there when I was there.
He'd be like, "Hey, Craig, how you doing? It's Johnny Hale. What's happening, man? Just selling some Prince racks, baby."
Right.
So John Hale was my buyer at Tennis Warehouse. And so you'd go hang out with him, and I'd actually stay with his house, and he'd have all these guitars. He'd pull all these guitars. So he was also in the music business, too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so his best friend growing up, kind of like my Nick Baroni, right, his was Glenn Ballard. So look up what Glenn Ballard did. So Glenn Ballard wrote this album called Tiny Little Pill, you might have heard of.
Alanis Morissette.
If you look at all of the songs, it's Alanis Morissette, G. Ballard. Alanis Morissette, G. Ballard.
Yeah.
He wrote all of it.
Every song.
Right. And so then I started looking back. So it's interesting about producer, right? You don't realize how much they affect your music.
Right.
Right. And so I was just telling a story the other day. I worked at a radio station, summer internship, and this guy named Curtis Steigers came in. Curtis Steigers, didn't know him. Really cool, like long hair. I wanted my hair to be that long. And he played saxophone. He had a song called Wonder Why, which is a really beautiful song. And so he's singing this song with him and this guy on the keyboard. And the guy on the keyboard singing the high harmony, and he's singing the and low, and he plays saxophone in front of us, like literally here to 4 feet in front of me. And I'm just like, oh, this is what real talent is. Oh, got it. Okay, this is, because the guy's just killing it. I get the CD after I talked to him about it. I look in the back. G. Ballard wrote it. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, what didn't this guy affect on my life, right?
Unbelievable.
Oh, my goodness. This guy's written unbelievable. Every artist you can think of, you can almost say this guy's worked with. And he's from Natchez, Mississippi.
And he's best friends with
Johnny, yeah.
With Johnny Hale. Hey, baby,
wow.
Johnny Hale here. love my Saints, baby. New Orleans Saints.
Wow.
I got him a football. I got him a Drew Brees football. Jonathan Albrecht got me a Drew Brees signed football. Gave him a couple pure drives. I actually had the picture. I don't know. I can't find it anywhere. I hate when I can't find a picture. And so I got a signed thing, and so I auctioned it off for my kids' special needs group, and no one paid for it. So I bought it, and then I gave it to John. So John has a Drew Brees football at his house. It's like he was so happy. He's like, because he loves the Saints.
Yeah.
Right.
So we talk Bears and Saints all the time.
Right. Yeah.
And he went to Ole Miss, so he talks about Ole Miss football too. So.
Man, Glenn Ballard.
Another guy who was a buyer that we never talked about tennis. We only we talked about music, we talked about football. We never. It was like, oh yeah, I'll order some stuff, sure.
Yeah. Send me a couple of these, couple of those. Yeah. Just write something up. Right.
Yeah, that was the secondary thing.
Right.
Yeah, Glenn Ballard would be one of them.
Rick Rubin.
Rick Rubin's, he's definitely cool stories he has. So that's my music side. What other side do I have? Do I like sports, Jordan?
Like hockey? Would you have Bobby Hull there?
I love hockey. Dennis Savard. Dennis Savard was my boy. Dennis Savard, number 18, savoir-faire.
Right. Yes.
So I was in 8th grade. My 8th grade graduation gift was a Dennis Savard jersey. And so I wore it, and of course it's summer, so I'm wearing a red hockey jersey in the summer.
Makes sense.
That's how smart I was.
Right.
But yeah, no, I love Dennis Savard. One of my favorites.
Yeah, he was the captain of the Hawks there for a while, wasn't he?
I don't think he was alternate captain. I don't think he was captain. He was coach for a while.
Right.
He won his cup in Montreal when he was there.
Plus, I see I'm looking up his picture. It shows picture. He does have a C, so maybe one game.
Maybe one game.
Yeah. One game or two.
Sometimes when that guy's out, they transfer the C. The C is probably the greatest. I think that's the thing that tennis does a terrible job of, right? Like, when you're a tennis player, you live this great life. You get to go to Stade, and you get to go to Nice, and you get to go to Shanghai, and you get to go all these cool places, right? And we don't. I feel so bad because I feel like tennis players go, oh yeah, that court's red. Oh yeah, that court's blue.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, if basketball was this, they'd have this baller life. Like, oh, I'm getting this private jet. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. You know what I mean? Like, tennis really doesn't do a good enough job to get you excited about wanting to be a tennis player. They make it almost like, it's a grind. Like today, I the only one who watched the final today with Bublik? I mean, I watched it.
Yep.
Right. And so it's a cool event. It's Rhode Island. It's grass, right?
Right.
Does anyone know about it besides us three? I don't know. I mean, it's kind of sad, right? And so they look at these matches and they're like, oh yeah, you won Rhode Island. Well, that's a win, right? That's how you. Tennis is all about. All sports is all about we called it the tournament glow, right? When one of our pros won a tournament, right? Like they come back and they start kicking all our butts because they just had this tournament glow. They just didn't miss. They're like, I won Fox Cities, just ripping balls, right? And so I think that's confidence thing, right? You build that confidence and so I think that's the one thing that these kids these days they don't understand. Like the grind isn't about the win. It's about building confidence and having better results on grass or on clay or on hard courts and giving it a run. Like, don't just look at it and say, this is not my surface. Figure it out. I mean, the hardest thing to do is win French and Wimbledon, right? Because it's the two. It's got to be the two opposites of surfaces.
Right. Yeah.
How many people can do it?
Not many. Bjorn Borg did a few times.
Bjorn Borg did it well.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's when the surfaces were way different, because the grass back then was lightning.
Right.
Now it's more like clay, as it can be, right? So
you're saying basically what I think, we've talked about this. AJ knows my stance on the U.S. Open and the great Arlen Kantarian, who transformed the U.S. Open from just an event to an event. I mean, it went from like the place, to be seen, and he started showing the stars and stands, and it created a buzz, and that's why the U.S. Open, I think, is what it is today, because of one guy who made it a scene, basically. So what you're saying, if tennis were to look, I wouldn't say hip or cool, which we know it is, because we like it, we love it, but if they could just tell those backstories of, hey, yeah, we get a pretty damn good deal, kind of like Tennis Channel was going through Wimbledon, and they were showing the back, they go through the back, or was it ESPN? ESPN follows the players, and they, at the end, and they were showing that who they were talking to, and then you got to go out there and hold the trophy, just stuff like that. I think that people see the back stories of, hey, that's pretty damn cool. Who wouldn't want to hold in the Venus, Venus Rosewater dish? Yeah, and go out there and show it to everybody. You've got tens of thousands of people standing there clapping for you. I mean, that's pretty darn exciting, I think,
But tennis has so much opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, why don't they have a wood racket tournament?
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a company called Gray's making wood rackets now, so you don't even have to figure out an old.
No, the original old press frame. Everyone has to play with, almost like NASCAR.
Yep.
It's the same frame. You can put put Yonex, you can put Babel, put whatever you want on it, but it's a standard wood frame. We'll make them for you. You got to play this tournament with it.
Right.
Tremendous.
Why not? Why? Why are they not playing a match? Why aren't they playing a tournament at Fenway? Why aren't they playing at Wrigley?
Right.
Why aren't they? Again, why? Why not? Why do we sit around and we're just like, this is how we do it?
Yeah, it's
okay.
how it's always been done.
Right.
Look at hockey. They own New Year's Day now.
Yes.
That was football when we grew up.
Right.
You turned on the thing, you saw the Rose Bowl.
Yep.
Don't see it anymore.
Nope.
Hockey stole it.
Yeah.
Right. It's a great day. They play outside. They played in Dallas. They played at the Cotton Bowl.
They did the Winter Classic, and it was not cold.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. And so, but it's an event. You got to make an event, right? Like, so the Stanley Cup's my favorite trophy, right? The pain, the agony, the suffering it takes to get it. If you see behind me, there's all my Blackhawk stuff. So it's all huge Blackhawk fan. And so you what it takes to win that trophy. Kind of like, when you see Nadal and his hands are all taped up. Like, when I talk to people in the gym and they're like, Nadal wins. I go, do you know how hard it is to win one of those? And I just show him a picture of his hand. And you just see, blisters and everything. And I'm like, this is his hand. What do you think his feet are like? Like, this guy is going through agony to tape up and get in here. And the same thing with hockey. There's guys playing. The famous one is the guy breaks his leg and he finishes the shift. Breaks his leg, right? Now, again, these people are not human, right? But that's the pride. That's the like the C. The C is the pride. You get that C on, you are a next level person, right? Everyone in that room looks and goes. And let me tell you something. You are now the coaches and the owners. They all get on your ass if you don't get them going. Like, you're another coach. So, that C is a real important thing, and you have to have it on your team. It's kind of like it's funny, you know, I have sales reps, right? And everyone sales reps kind of stack each other, like, you know, 1, 2, and 3. It's kind of like 6 singles, right?
Yep.
Did you guys play one at all ever?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
Was that the hardest time of your life, playing one?
Oh yeah, everybody knew. I had one year, it was great because I lost one set to the team, and they all knew the pecking order. And the guy thought he won Wimbledon when I lost to him 7-6 in practice. He goes, "I finally cracked the code," and I was so mad that I lost, you know, that set. But Bill Autry, you know, thought he had won Wimbledon, you know, because he beat me in practice because nobody else could. I just happened to be, you know, that was the only time being number one on the team. But you know, you do have that swagger. You know, people, you know, I know AJ would have that. You know, D2 has that. You know, it's like wearing the C because you're the number one player, and you go out and you face everybody's best. I don't care who it is. It could be, you know, whatever college you want to name that's small potatoes. They've got somebody that's damn good. You know, it's not.
AJ, did you play one?
I did, and when I did, sometimes there's a target on your back, and
Yeah.
sometimes there may not be, and it's rather clear. But when you play a match, you're playing their number one, and we win, but mine's 3 sets, and we win, but mine's in doubt because I'm playing another nationally ranked good player. You know?
Yeah.
So I played 7.
Yeah.
Then I played 2. 2 was great.
Yeah.
Because I was just whooping
The
by
best.
the 2.
Kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah. And then I had to play 1 the next year. And that was the worst year of my life because not only did you play everyone's best, what everyone else has done, right? You're still grinding. You're like,
Yep.
They're drinking beer. You're like, I'd like to have a beer right now. Like, I don't want to be out here anymore. But not only that, the whole team hates you.
Right.
Because they think they're better than you.
Right.
A lot of them were, but I just somehow beat them. You know, but mentally, like that's tough to go over because you're like, God, your own team doesn't even like you. Because so you're battling this like so same thing like being a sales rep too. Like it happens at sales teams where they're like, oh, I don't like that guy. Number one, they have this girl gets this, and they all started chitter chatting behind it, you know. And you gotta be like, I gotta be like a parent every once in a while, like, hey, knock it off.
Right.
Like, it's so weird.
Right.
But yeah, it's jealousy. It's a real weird thing. Instead of looking at it, I remember, you know, wanting to be a manager, and then once you're a manager, you're like, man, you don't want this job because, man, all you do is get yelled at from the top and yelled at from the bottom and yelled at from the side, right?
Right.
And so, and you got to make the answer. You can't, you know, I have to make the call. I can't just blow it off. So,
yeah, you can't say go talk to Craig, go talk to AJ. You know, the number two guy is always the best. You know, even as pros, you know, on a staff, you go, well, I'm not the boss, sorry, but you know, go talk to D2. You know, he'll give you the answer. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And same thing in a staff. You're right. Like it's the same thing because there's posturing, right? There's all that like, you know, like, well, was he good? And I talk about this too. I follow a lot of Instagram videos of pros, right? How many people hand feed now that you see?
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Right? When we grew up, if you hand fed, what would have happened to you if you hand fed?
Oh, you're considered an idiot.
Right. No.
Right?
No way.
World-class players are all getting hand fed now.
Right. Right. 10 years ago, yeah, that lesson doesn't happen.
What happened? What happened was science happened, right? So they realized, hey, you have to generate your own pace, your own power. This is how you do it. Not me hitting a ball to you, me dropping a ball and you moving your rump and getting going.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah. But things have changed. You had to have a hitting lesson. We had to be in shape. It was like, man, when you taught those 60 hours a week, five of them a day were hitting lessons that you had to hit.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Right.
I hit with a guy today, actually. He wanted to hit. I'm like, oh, crap. You know, he's at 4.045. He goes, you okay? We hadn't hit in a year. He's like, I go, yeah, I can hit. So he came out, and I was like, oh, crap, man, I gotta start running around. I was like, man, I'm used to standing there feeding balls, you know. I'm getting pretty easy going, you know. So
yeah. A good friend of mine who I worked at Forest View with, John Irvin, great pro, he taught me how to teach with a ball machine.
Mm-hmm.
And I of course I was like, ball machine,
right?
That's and he set it up and he put some hula hoops out. And he goes, okay, hit your volley, come back in and hit it. And I was like, man, this guy's right. Like, this really works. This is really a smart way to do it,
Right.
But I was one of those pros. It was like you had to say something every 3 seconds. You had to stand. You had to make, like we were taught like, drill sergeants. So the game's changed. A lot of things have changed that way.
Yeah, I think.
But have you ever thought of this too, like with ladies? Like if you're teaching ladies, right? Most of them want to hit balls, do the drills, workout. How many times they serve? How many times they hit serve return?
Not enough.
They won't. They know I like to serve, and somebody goes, "Oh, my shoulder hurts, my elbow hurts." I go, my head hurts, because that's the one thing that you can control is the serve. And
number 1, number 2 shots. That's it.
They don't.
I would love to take a ladies team once and just go, okay, ladies, this is all we're going to do. And guess what? I don't want to hear it.
Right.
This is all we're going to do. And then let's see what the results are at the end of your season.
Right.
Because I guarantee you're going to whoop everyone just by getting every ball in.
Yeah. No, it's inevitable, that you're trying to get people, especially in my environment. I'm not going to call anybody out, because I've had one of my members was on the Instagram. I looked at it, I was like, okay, I better watch what I'm saying. But yeah, most of the people I've worked with, I actually had a serving lesson. Somebody really came to me today for a serving lesson. I was like, wow, this is great. We worked on a serve for an hour and it went fast. And I was like, man, this is awesome. Somebody really wanted to work and improve their serving, and we did. But the ladies, it is just like pulling teeth. I'm like, I don't get it. Why? And we're mostly work in the country club or the tennis club world. And we're not in professional tennis, and where you go say, hey, you're going to go hit, 100 serves to the deuce court, 100 serves to the ad court, let's go. And they do it. But in amateur tennis, boy, that is the one thing you can control, but yet they don't want to do it.
I can attest on a spiritual level, it is a lot less challenging to coach pros and ITF players than it is what Craig does.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I rue the day.
What you did for years.
Yeah. 26 years doing that. Yeah.
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 No, it's
you guys both had nice clubs. I mean, those were nice clubs you guys are at and was at.
Yep. Yeah. Adrian had a really nice club, and similar type of personnel. I'm sure that the personnel that where you taught, Dave, is, but it's just interesting. I have to trick them sometimes in order to serve, and we might have to play a few points, but they don't want to play points either. Yeah. And it's like, damn, I got to come up with some drills that kind of symbol, in the tennis world, kind of what we can kind of work on and have something meaningful and purposeful, for the folks, because, and I've told a few of them, if my paycheck were derived on your winnings in TCD or Alta, or, I know you live in Atlanta, we'd be doing things a whole lot different than we would be, because if my paycheck were derived on this, then, this wouldn't be, what we're doing. Let me tell you that. So, I'm sure that it's much like that with Alta. It's probably the Alta teams out in Atlanta, the pros out there. I'm sure you'd talk with those guys. Similar situation, in Dallas also too, or Chicago, or New York. You name the city, it's probably the same out there. But,
I think that's the one thing I love teaching tennis. I loved it. I really did. I had a great passion for it. I still, when I never thought about retiring. Now I'm going to be 53, so I guess I got to start thinking about it. But I was down in Naples one time, and I saw the pros there, and I'm like, okay, I could do this, right? You teach a couple hours in the morning, go play golf in the afternoon, get early dinner, call it a day. Like, it seems like I could do this, right? And so I was thinking, later in my life, I'll kind of go back to that. But when I had to kind of make a decision of being a rep or being a pro, and I talked to Jamie Livonian. Jamie Livonian was still a great pro at Bannockburn, Bath Tennis, and really smart guy. Went to Northwestern, and I always liked how he taught. He just taught very with a lot of thought and a lot of intellect, and was trying to get you to really think a little bit about what you're doing instead of just turn, hit. I was more that. And so I talked to him. I said, "Hey, Jamie, why did you choose to do this? Just that. Like, why are you still doing this?" And he goes, he gave me a great answer. He goes, great thing about tennis, teaching tennis, is I can change someone's life right there and then. Like, I can actually see it happen. Doesn't happen all the time, but when that moment comes, when it clicks in their head and they go, oh, turn shoulders, oh, hit through the, oh, okay. Like, and they're hitting and they're having fun. And they're like, okay, we keep doing this. Like, he goes, you can't change that. There's such a personal connection you have with that person or group. And I said, wow, I do like that. It was one thing I liked. And so, that's the part I really respect about teaching pro community, because, I mean, how many times you teach a lesson and you're talking about life, or you're talking about your family, you're talking about your kids, and we got to hit a couple balls, right? It's kind of the same thing of like we're talking about sales, right? You're still connecting with people. You got to figure out what interests them. Sometimes they don't want to say a word and they just want to hit balls. Great, right. That's awesome. If that's what you want to do, that's awesome. That's what you pay me for.
Right.
Sometimes they want you to tell them how great their forehand is. As Mel and Lee Ampon were these two Filipino Davis Cup players that taught in Chicago, and they had all these ladies taken from them. Well, they could put the ball on the lady's racket every time, like just perfectly, right. And they go, I don't know why I play a match and I can't hit a ball. Like, well, because every ball you're getting is dead perfect to your racket, no matter where you go. Because these guys just have beautiful hands and they're buttering it right to it, right? And you're like, well, is that good for the game? But it doesn't matter. That makes them happy.
Right.
At the end of the day, that's all it really is.
Right.
Just like it's kind of like a racket choice or a string choice, right? I remember talking to Lucian at Babolat, and I said, what makes this brand better? Or what? He goes, well, we sell pleasure. And I go, whoa, that's weird. That's a weird statement. And he goes, no. He goes, it has to feel good in your hand. Like the racket has to feel good, the string. I'm like, oh, okay. I can get that, and I understand that. And, I love when someone comes up and says, oh, I love this racket. I tried it. It's great. And it's awesome. But I hate when I'm at an event and someone will come up and go, oh, that brand gave me tennis elbow. Like,
it's the whole brand.
It didn't. It didn't. And I'll be like, no, it didn't.
Yeah. It's not the brand.
And I'll go, show me your backhand. And they'll show me a forehand grip. They'll do this, right? They'll go, here's my backhand. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, don't do that.
You're going to get tennis elbow.
That's what gave me tennis elbow.
Right. Unless you use the gamma Big Bubba, you might not get tennis elbow. But David wouldn't sell you a Big Bubba, because he never wanted to sell that gamma racket, right?
I have a great story about that. Actually, it's really funny you said that. You're setting me up for all my dumb stories. So, I interviewed a gamma to be the gamma rep in Chicago, and we were joking around. Me and my buddies were joking around about the Big Bubba, right? And it was coming out, and I was too honest. Right, and I'm probably too honest still to this day. I should probably shut my mouth more and just kind of be like, I love it, but I didn't. And so I was in the interview, and the interview was going great, and he goes to pull out the racket, and I say, gosh, this hurts for me to say this. I say, yeah, don't bother. I'm not going to sell that anyways. And he goes, yeah, this interview's done. I was like,
okay.
Gosh, is that terrible to say?
When keeping it real goes wrong.
Right.
Oh, bad.
Insert foot and mouth.
It was bad. Right. I ended up working for him later. But yeah. And then I saw the paycheck I was getting. I'm like, dang, I really screwed that up, because that was good money I could have been making. But
a lot of Bubba's. There were a lot of Bubba's being sold out there. I think they still make it, don't they? Gamma.
I think they really got into pickleball.
Did they? Oh, okay.
Yeah, the son took over. And they got into pickleball big time, like right when it started. They were like ground floor.
I've seen their company out there. Them and about 300 other paddle companies out there in the pickleball world. You talk about, tennis rackets have a lot of companies out there. Pickleball, holy smokes! Everybody and their dog makes a paddle.
I'm surprised there's not the at the kitchen net paddle coming out.
Well, that's coming. We were going to break.
We are. I always had a routine on pickleball paddles. How every week there's another maker, and seltzer water. Sonic is making hard seltzers, and I thought it's a moment. We're moments away from Nike, Adidas, Ball to Match, everybody making seltzers. So hard
Gatorade going to make one.
Pickleball, both on the same day. We're making 1 million a day.
So would it be I think your podcast should be In Your Kitchen. Should be your podcast for
At the net, in your kitchen.
In your kitchen.
Right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Funny.
You do that one on Saturdays and Tuesdays, and you do
Right.
the At the Net one on. Yeah.
Right.
Easy.
I think that's good.
Easy.
So does pickleball make pickle juice? Is there pickle juice for pickleball? Do you think? God,
It should be, right?
It should be.
Because you got to hydrate.
That's the $1 million idea. Pickleball pickle juice. You know, I'm sitting here thinking, spitballing here. So
pickle juice should have alcohol in it. Is my guess.
Right.
If you're going to do it right.
Right. Yes. Everything should. Right.
Fermented, yeah.
Fermented. Yeah. Fermented cucumbers, kind of like kimchi. So, well, we drove down a rabbit hole that I totally got off. I'm sorry about.
Welcome to my world now.
Yeah. Well. So, any more guests that you would have, speaking of kimchi and dinner and pickle, you got me thinking there. Anybody else that you would have at this, besides MJ? I think we said Michael Jordan.
Yep.
We had
Ballard.
Rick
Rubin.
Ballard.
Yeah, Rick Rubin, AJ and I. Anybody else that you can think of that might
I said
be?
Dennis Savard.
Dennis Savard. Yes. Okay.
Savoir-faire.
Savoir-faire is everywhere.
Right.
I'm really into golf now, so I guess maybe a golfer. But I want one that's like funny, that's like maybe daily, even though like I'm not a daily fan as much, but just I know he would tell great stories.
Yeah, for the stories and the interesting evening aspect.
Actually, who's the guy that's on Jim Rome all the time? He lives in Houston now. He won a couple PGAs or PGA. Elkington?
Yeah.
I'd have Elkington. He's funny. I've heard him a couple times. He's really good.
Thought you might have Al Cervic. Al Cervic would be funny. Caddyshack.
Yes.
He's a golfer, isn't he?
He is a good one.
How about the judge, maybe?
Hey, Spalding, you're playing tennis today. No, I'm not, Grandpa. Or playing golf today. No, Grandpa, I'm playing tennis. You'll play golf and you'll like it.
That's right.
Oh, that's good.
I'll tell you a great story about this, too. So,
Yeah.
Caddyshack, I was driving with a rep into Omaha Country Club. And we're driving in, and I'm like, I think Caddyshack was supposed to be in Omaha. I believe
Right.
that was supposed to be the fictitious town. And so I talking to the guy, he's director of tennis, and I go, so is this where Caddyshack was filmed? He goes, no. He goes, it was actually filmed in Fort Lauderdale at a club down there. And he goes, have you ever heard of this movie called Balls Out? And I go, no. And he goes, oh, I wrote it. So he wrote the Caddyshack version of tennis.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Really?
Which has Stifler in it. Stifler's the pro in that. It's called Balls Out.
Interesting.
It was so weird. Like, how weird that I just happened to talk about it. He knew all about Caddyshack.
Yes, I'm looking it up here. It's a 2014 film, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's out. Interesting.
So Brad Jackson, was that the guy's name? Bradley Jackson?
I believe that was his name. It was a long time ago. As you get older, names are the worst there, Steve.
Right.
And
Oh, thank you, Jim.
I literally could draw pictures of people. I could not remember their name.
Right.
I could not pass the USPTA test for the name part. I would be disastrous. You, Sally, Sue, whatever your name is, Billy
Nice
Joe.
Nice forehand. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that was always the great thing about Dennis Vandermeer. How did that guy remember everybody's name?
Everybody.
I mean, I know I've never met Dennis. I know you probably have, or AJ have. You hear those stories about this guy. He can remember 200 people's names in like 20 minutes.
And what he would like to see them fix with their strokes.
Yeah,
all right there.
I mean,
don't you remember people from like rackets though? Like I think if when I talk to friends like, hey, do you remember this kid? You know, he was in our program. I'm like, what racket did he play with? He played with a Spectrum. Oh yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, I remember him.
Like you give me the racket, I know exactly what he was playing with.
He had the twin tube radical. Oh, I know that guy, Matthew. Yeah.
He played that PDP. You know that white PDP. Oh yeah, that's him. Right. Yeah.
Rocco.
Right.
He played with the Morph Beam Prince. I remember that. Yes.
I remember that kid.
The Thundercloud.
Ooh, man, that's when I was working for Prince. I had Morph Beam around. You know, I was the rep when we had Long Body come out, and it was
That's when you had the P with the arrow, right?
Yeah, it was not.
And you had to have that stencil on the right way. If you didn't have it on, you were in trouble.
You had it this way.
Yes, Riney was going to get on your rump if you didn't do that right.
Yeah. No, he had the Ripstick, the Mach 1000, and the Michael Chang. Man, that was
those long bodies. Those long bodies were so great. I had a bit of a cottage industry, taking grips, butt caps off, sawing it off to the proper length, putting the butt caps back on. Because people were like,
you did that for your son. You showed me a racket you did that with your son with, right? You
That's
cut
right.
It off when.
Yeah,
I remember that. Well, what racket was that? Was that a
Mickey Mall and I both had that story of shortening an Aerostorm, or I did it to Aerostorm Tour, Aerostorm, maybe what was right? Pure Storm, red one.
Yeah. That was a good racket. I like the Pure Storm. Isn't that what Team used to play with a long time ago? When Dom Team.
Oh, before the strike, yeah. Oh, yes. Well, he was more.
He played with the 16-19 one.
Yeah, Head Prestiges.
Limited.
Back when the Storms were popular, he used Prestiges, and then he went to the strike when he joined Babala.
Well, the Limited was made for Ryan Harrison.
That's right.
A lot of people don't know
that 95 head that was wider.
Ryan Harrison was going to sign with Wilson, and Babala made that racket for him.
Really? Boy. And the rest is history.
These dumb things I know.
Dumb things.
Some things I know.
Right. Well, he was kind of, the two rackets that I think you guys did great with is obviously the Aero Pro with Rafa, and then you hit Roddick with the Pure Drive. Those two rackets, I remember Mike Moore from Houston came up, and he was bringing this company. He was the Dunlop rep in this territory for years and years and years, and Mike and I were really good friends. And I know you know Mike. And
Mike real well. Wait, I got a picture of him.
Brings this rackets up. He goes, this company, Mike had kind of like the John Hale approach to.
Yeah, he was folksy. He's a fisherman.
Yes, and just.
Oh, I'm listening. I'm trying to find a picture. I got a picture of him right here.
Yeah.
And so Mike comes up.
There's
he's
Mike
a good
right
Georgia
there.
boy. Yep, there he is. Georgia Tech. He's a big Georgia Tech.
This is us at a race thing. Yeah.
Yep. And so Mike goes, we got this racket. This kid uses somebody named Rafael Nadal. And I'm like, Mike, come on. I go, what is this thing? I go, this yellow thing, and it's kind of. He goes, it's kind of a wing of a plane or something. He goes, I don't know. He goes, this kid's supposed to be really good. And I'm like, Mike, come on. Head had just come out with that Triad stuff, and that didn't go anywhere. And Prince, I was with the long body, that didn't go anywhere. I was like, Mike, come on, you guys are just throwing stuff up on the wall and see what sticks. He goes, no, I'm telling you, this kid's supposed to be really good, this Rafael Nadal. And I'm like, no, come on. And then all of a sudden, about 6 months, a year later, what was I ordering? I was ordering those rackets. The Pure Drive was obviously pretty good because Roddick, you guys you bought a couple of cars off of Roddick in the Pure Drive, and then probably with Rafa, you elevated to a different stratosphere with that guy, because it was those two. It really, I think, put Babylon on the map. That's just my personal opinion.
Well, my favorite stories, two of them. One, I'll tell Mike Moore's story in a second, but I used to sell to Golfsmith, and Golfsmith was based out of Austin, Texas. And Golfsmith had locations all throughout the country. Mm-hmm. And so I'd fly to Austin a lot. I was there a lot. And that's where we picked out the location for. So it's funny, my band says I actually could say I played on 6th Street. So that was one cool thing. Whatever. Anyways, even though it was our own party. But and I was at Molotov Cocktail, which is no longer there.
That was the name of the place. I was trying to remember the name of that place. Okay.
Molotov Cocktail.
Anyway, you guys closed it?
Yeah, we shut it down. They're like, there's no use to even doing this anymore. And so they would I'd ask them, hey, what's your number one selling racket? And they'd say, oh, we sell the Pure Drive Plus Roddick, our best selling racket. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, because he plays with it. So we just tell him this is what he plays with, and we sell it to him. So when they got out of business, they sent all their rackets to this shop in Carolina, Raleigh. And one of my accounts calls me. He's like, "This is unbelievable. There's like 400 rackets they're selling." He's screaming at me again, like I get yelled at every day.
Of course.
And my buddy lived in Raleigh at the time. I go, "Hey, Art, can you do me a favor? Just go over there and take a picture of the wall." He takes a picture, and I'm zooming in, and I see all this black grip. I'm like, well, these are pluses. This is great. This is Roddick, right? Mm-hmm. So I go, well, these are all Roddick's. They literally had like 300 Roddick Pluses that they just ordered and they couldn't sell them. And they're just sitting on a wall.
Right.
And I told them, I go, look, I can get rid of these for you, but they're going to have to be at a super price. No, we're going to sell them. I go, no, you're not. They unloaded them for a cheap price. But my favorite Mike Moore story is I first met Mike when I got the job at Babylon. And Mike's a great guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Played baseball at Georgia Tech, was the captain of that team. Loved Mike to death. And so Mike, he's like, you like fishing? And I'm like, no, I don't like fishing. He goes, you like wrestling? I go, no. You like hunting? No. He goes, well, what do you like?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I just don't like any of the things you just said. Like, I don't know. Like, but yeah, Mike was, Mike would go into a shop and he would literally go, hey, when we going hunting, man? When we going deer hunting and pheasant hunting? And so, you know, when you're, it's the same probably as you're a director of tennis, right? You get there and you're like, this is how I did it. I do this and I do this and I do this. And then you learn, okay, no one's going to do it the way you do it. So you just got to kind of mold them or direct them or making sure that they're kind of doing what you need them to do, but within their confines of getting them to grow. And so I was like, you know, Mike was giving me good numbers. What's the point of arguing with, how I want it done? And I was like, hey, you give me numbers, you can do whatever you want, and we worked well together. Mike was a great rep for me. So
yeah, he just had a different selling style, which was very unique, very Texan, and
loves Edberg.
What's that?
Loves Edberg. We get in fights about Violander and Edberg all the time. He loves Edberg.
he just is such a nice guy. I miss him a lot because I know he retired.
Yeah.
And if you ever need a gun, I know you've probably been to his house. Man, that's the guy you want to go over to his house because he'll take care of any issues that might come up. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Mike was fully. Another part, we get in the car and he's like, "Hey, just so you know, anyone comes to the car, there's a gun here, it's loaded, and a gun there." And I'm like, "Whoa, what? Like what?"
Well, just in case, you never know. I go.
That car was. Someone got in that car, they were in trouble. That was not going to be the.
You wonder where he was going, where he's hanging out. In order, not at the country club. He didn't need.
He should have sold bullets, because if he sold bullets or spinnerbait or something like that, he would have made a bloody fortune.
Oh man, there wasn't one person that loved hunting and fishing more. And all those guys in South Texas, he owned those guys just from going hunting and fishing with them.
Oh,
and MMA. He loved MMA. Loved wrestling.
No, he was a great rep. I mean, didn't really. He didn't. Oh yeah, he goes. Oh, if you want this, he goes. Let's put an order in. Maybe just send me something. And
talk about great rep. Jonathan, who passed away, loved both of you guys. By the way, he was awesome. Always said great things about you guys, and would be like, "Oh, great, best AJ. Oh man, these guys." he would rave about you two all the time. So
we always considered it. And he said this expression all the time: the greatness of Jonathan Albrecht.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. I miss him a lot too because he was really great for the territory and died way too early.
Who was he? Besides being the Babala rep, he was a golf agent. Was it Matt Kuchar? Who was?
No, he had. So my favorite thing about Jonathan is he was selling copiers. When I first met him, and he would come over and hit balls with it every once. So he was a good tennis player, great golfer. Guy was a freaking stick golfer.
Yeah.
But really good tennis player too. He had a big serve, and so he'd come over and hit with us at Forest View. And so one day he's like, "Hey, I'm selling copiers," and he ticks up a copier and he puts it on his arm like this. He goes, "Hey, look at that! Feel that drape, like an apparel rep."
Yeah.
I was on the floor in the corner laughing for 20 minutes. I'm like, that is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
The hand, the stitching.
He goes, feel the hand. Like, look at this copier. He was hilarious. Another thing he would do, and this is another favorite Jonathan story, is because when you play indoors, right, you got the bells go off, right? So the bell goes off, right? And so you're supposed to switch off courts. And so Jonathan and my buddy Joe were waiting to get on the court, and And so the bell goes off, and Jonathan walks on the court and grabs the guy's serve and goes, "All right, guys, you're out of here." Throws the ball and goes, "Okay, Joe, let's start hitting balls."
Just right in the middle, the guy tosses that.
Grab the ball out of the air. The serve was coming. He just walks in, bing, grabs as the bing ball hits, grabs it. Okay, guys, see ya.
Yeah. No finish the point, no finish the game.
Nope. Just walks on the court, takes it. And I guess he did the same thing at UCLA because the courts are always booked, and he was out there, and he goes, "Joe, we're gonna get on court." He goes, "Okay." And so he grabs a clipboard. He goes, "Yeah, we're this guy. This is Johnson. This is this guy." You know, he was Fletch before Fletch. That's who he was. And so he would just be like, "Yeah, John Cocktoson, right here, yeah." And then he just grabbed balls and goes, "Guys, get her out of here. We're on here. Just start playing." They're like, "But no, we were supposed to be. We're the." And then they would just leave.
Right. They give up. Yeah.
So he was. Esteban Toledo was one of his players. Esteban Toledo. What was the other one? The other guy won a senior open, a senior event, senior major too.
Oh wow!
He was at the service they did too. What was that guy's name? Really great guy.
I remember this service. It was up here in Flower Mound. Bridalwood, I think.
So Esteban Toledo was one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm blanking on the other guy's name, but I actually ran into Corey Pavins pretty recently, actually. Lives here in Dallas. So I'll ask him. He'll definitely remember Albright.
So you know why he knew? He was a squatter. So I don't know if you know this.
No.
So he would buy ajshabria.com.
Okay. I knew this.
He would squat it.
He did know this.
He bought CoreyPavin.com, I believe.
Yes.
And then would go, "Hey, I'll give this to you for free, but I would love to work with you and do some deals." Yeah. And that was how he did his relationship.
How he did it.
Interesting. Yeah, I knew he was a smart guy. He was into computers a lot, it seemed like, and
I will tell you a couple great Jonathan stories. So Jonathan, I remember, wanted to talk to everyone at Babylon. We were at Indian Wells, and he was covering the area, and he was really nervous. He's like, I got to talk to you guys about something. I'm like, "John, what's up?" Like, what? Like, so he gets up in front of everybody and starts reading. He's really nervous. He's like, "You guys, Twitter's the thing. You guys got to get on Twitter. We need it. This is really big, and Serena Williams got 2 million people, and blah, 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 blah." And I remember everyone at Babylon being like, "Whatever." And it's okay, Jonathan, whatever. I think 2 years later, we hired one person to run our Twitter.
Yeah.
The guy was literally ahead 2 years of everything.
Yeah.
He would go, "Hey, Strixon's getting to tennis." We're like, "Get out of here." He's like, "No, they're getting to tennis." Dumb. 2 years later, Anderson walks on the court with Strixon bag, and I called him up. I go,
"You're on it.
You're right.
You're on it."
Every time. The guy was on top of it. I was crazy every time he did it.
2 years ahead.
Yeah. But I remember him talking about Twitter, and everyone was like, "What are you talking about?" And we hired some guy that was his whole job. 2 years later, just to do Twitter.
Right, yeah. I mean, I remember when I was at Prince, I remember one of the last things I said to the president, we were talking, he goes, "Hey, you think this internet thing's going to be big?" And I was like, he goes, "Wilson had an internet presence." And I go, "Well, yeah, I think it might do pretty." This was 96, basically. So it was many, many years ago, and 26 years ago. It really hadn't been around that long, but I just remember him going, he goes, "Do you think we should have an internet website?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think that you probably should have something like that," because
I just got the name. Eric sent me the name. Thank you, Eric. Marco Dawson.
Marco
Dawson. Correct. Marco Dawson. Thank you, Eric, very much. Good. He's listening. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Marco Dawson.
So
Jonathan was ahead of everything.
Right.
Oh, and so great story about with Eric involved. We had a great shop here in Atlanta, and I got to know Eric real well, and he was a Cowboys fan. And so Jonathan got us tickets, so we flew in. So I couldn't get in till the next day. And so I said, "Hey, Jonathan, could you pick up this guy, Eric? You never met him before." And he's like, and so he goes, yeah, I'll do it. And so he picks him up, and he takes him to this bar, and some guy, it's like some really ratty bar in some, bad area, I guess some guy comes in and said he killed a dog or something, and Eric's like, "What is going on? Like, what's happening?" John's like, he just met this guy, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'll take care of it." And so Jonathan gets him out of there and gets him to his hotel. But Jonathan was just crazy like that. He would just we would be they would have that event in Dallas, right? The golf event there. He's like, "Hey, you want to meet Vijay Singh?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to meet Vijay. Come on." So I go, "No, I don't want to meet him. The guy's practicing. Let him. It's okay." He's like, "No, come on. We're gonna go talk to him." I'm like, I don't want to talk to him, Jonathan. What? I go, why? He would do it to me all the time.
Always. And that was probably the Byron Nelson here?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The Byron Nelson. Yeah. That's where he met his wife.
Yeah.
Oh, he met her? Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. He was a super nice guy. Looked. Is his brother anything like he is? Does he have even one little,
Sean is a great tennis player. Great tennis player. Really good golfer. Is a great athlete. I mean, just great guy. He can sing. He can really sing. He's a soul singer. This guy. He actually sung at the Apollo.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
He's legit. He's got some serious pipes. Sean can play keyboard, sing. He writes a lot of his own stuff. Great tennis pro. He's been teaching for a long time. Yeah, a lot of the same things. But Jonathan was just he's just that one of a kind. Like you're never going to meet another person like him. Like he's just
unforgettable.
He's one of those people that I wish I could just tell him I love him like one more time.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. It's been eight years. It looked like I typed in his name. I think it was 2014 when he passed away, which was way too young. He was only in his late 40s, I think, also too. So he wasn't really that old when he passed away. So,
unbelievable.
Yeah, just a super nice guy. And it was. I remember. It was up in Flower Mound at what was the name of that? Not Tour 18, but it was Bridlewood, maybe.
Bridlewood, yeah. Flower Mound.
Right. Yeah, up there. I'd never been up there, but it was really interesting to see how many people came out. I mean, that room was packed. It
was great. What a great celebration of the great man, Jonathan.
Yeah. So,
he loved it. He did some. There's still video of you, AJ, if you look on YouTube, the stuff he's done, and his whole thing was he was all about being first to come up on. So if you typed in Babolat Dallas or Tennis Dallas.
He wanted search engine optimization.
Yeah, he wanted to make sure exactly. He was talking about this stuff before it was even a job.
Yeah,
and he would bombard me with stuff, and I'm like, Jonathan, I got so much other stuff to do. Like, why? He was right. Like, I would like to. I told him he's right. He was totally right.
Yeah,
but he wanted, because he didn't want Tennis Warehouse to come up because that wasn't his account. He wanted his local accounts to be up there.
Right.
And it was all about getting more clicks and putting videos and reviews and all that. He understood that, and he understood that whole language, and it was crazy how ahead of the game he was.
He was, and it was stuff that I do for clients now. Like, it's an ad, but it's content-based. And maybe I film it, maybe I record voiceover, whatever. But he was like, his logo, Babolat Dallas. Here's AJ. He is doing a college recruiting video for a promising junior who will be playing D1 college tennis this fall. And by the way, what kind of racket? And he'll interview me right there. And people are going to see it because he did the SEO before. I mean, it would be like putting a drill bit to an odometer. Like, maybe this car only has 100,000 miles on it, but because of this, it's got 60. And that's what the man would do with YouTube videos.
Yeah, used cars. That price is too damn high.
It's
another great movie.
Yes, used cars. Oh yeah, that was.
You like the car? You want to get in the car? No. Get in the car.
Yeah, Kurt Russell. That was such a funny movie.
One of the best.
Yeah, and then the guy that two brothers, Jack. What was that guy's name? Jack.
The Fuchs brothers.
Yeah, and he was the good brother and the bad brother at the same time.
Yeah, he played both.
Yeah, Jack something was his name.
Jack Welch. Jack. No,
maybe Jack.
Jack. I know who it is. I can draw a picture of him. See that mustache?
Yes, he was. It was great. Let's see.
Jack Walton?
Jack
Walton.
Jack Warden. Jack Warden.
Warden.
Good call.
Warden Walton.
That's right.
See, again, I could draw a picture of everybody, but I can't do anything.
Right. Now, really funny actor. To be able to pull off both roles like that. There are some people who do stuff like that, but he was. Jack Warden was really a funny guy.
There's still a video somewhere online. I think he put it to private. Somehow I need to get it. When he started at Babylon, he did his own press conference.
Yes.
Jonathan.
He was in a jacket with a backdrop, and he pretended to talk to somebody, and he's got a mic.
He pretended to be at a press conference and goes,
"Thank you."
Yes. Yeah. You saw it, right? I'm not insane.
You're not hallucinating.
I had to make him put it to private because I'm like, dude, you can't have this out here because I just hired you. Like, people are going to think you're crazy.
I am so thrilled that I saw it before the boss got him to put it on private.
Oh, it was but right now I would pay $2,000 right now, cash, whatever you said, if I could see that one more time. That's how great the video was. Because he's like, talking to the mic, he's like, Babylon is going to be popular. And then he'd lean back and he's like, yes. I'm like, what are you doing? It was insane. That was Jonathan.
Right. Just goofy, funny stuff. I found something. It says an interview with John Albrecht, Wilmington Coffee Fest, something back in that's different. I'm sorry. So that's after, if he did that, that was 5 years ago. So
I've searched. It's somewhere in his password of his YouTube that it's private or public. But it was
okay. Yeah.
There's more Jonathan stories. I have more. I just can't think of them at the top of my head right now.
Right, but just a unique. He'd definitely be at dinner. Just what you're saying at the.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, Jonathan
through with the dinner guests. So John Albrecht would be one that I think should be at the table.
CB, speaking of the table, the follow up to who would you have for the dinner?
Yeah.
What's always your great follow up, CB?
What are we serving at the dinner? Right. What are we serving?
Okay. I'm gonna go a little Texas on you.
Really? Okay.
The Katy Ice Trail has these brisket nachos.
Yeah.
That are outstanding. I don't know if you've had them.
Katy Trail Ice House. There's 3 or 4 locations, and sometimes we ride our bikes to this one over here.
Literally could be the greatest thing I've ever eaten in my life. Like, it's stupid great.
Just like butter.
The first time we had them, we were playing doubles with. It was Sally and I playing Chris and Ruth.
Oh,
and
Brown. Chris and Ruth Brown.
Glenn Eagle.
Chris Brown. Yeah.
And we went there, and they ordered the appetizers, and as they were talking, I ate the whole appetizer. 3 more of these, because this is the greatest thing I've ever had in my life. It's really good.
So we're serving that. That's awesome.
That would be that. Lou Malnati's pizza from Chicago. Lou Malnati's probably the greatest of all time. Butter crust, can't beat that.
Yep.
There's a chicken place here in town, South Kitchen, something like that. The chicken there is fantastic. It's outstanding. It's the only really good restaurant here.
Oh, wow.
So we're having chicken and nachos and
pizza
and Chicago deep dish pizza.
What's for dessert? What are we getting for dessert?
I was telling the story the other day. So I went to see an account in Tampa once with my rep, and this guy at a shop and took us to this old it was like a ship, you got into a ship, right? So you get in this old ratty ship, and food was terrible. Everything I ordered was just bad, bad. I'm like, okay, I see fried cheesecake, so I'm like,
why not?
The night's already ruined. Let's just continue on. And so cheesecake comes, it's sitting there, and I'm like, okay, well, it's fried cheesecake. Let's get this over with. And I put my fork in, and I put it in my mouth, and I don't know what heroin's like, but it's got to be the same euphoria that goes through your body that I'll equate this to this. It was like having a warm Krispy Kreme donut with cheesecake inside it. That's how amazing it was.
Wow.
It was literally the greatest thing I've ever had in my life.
And
I
you
probably
have
almost
four
died.
of them. You have four of them at a tennis match, throw up and beat a guy 7-0 in the third set tiebreak.
And lose. Yes, exactly. And the physical pain of throwing up was not as bad as the emotional damage that I got from my coach not believing in me from jump, actually.
And here
He's
we
like,
are
wow,
talking. Here we are.
You can actually beat this guy,
podcast.
and I'm like, I can't. Like, what you did? What?
Yeah.
Huh?
So we're having fried cheesecake, man. I've never had. I love cheesecake, but I'm trying to think fried cheesecake.
Fried cheesecake.
You don't get that at the Cheesecake Factory. I don't think fried cheesecake.
Dolce de leche if you're going to Cheesecake Factory.
Oh,
Dolce de leche, and get extra caramel.
Oh, really?
Very important. Extra caramel.
Okay.
Mandatory.
Yes. So that's we'll have to go over there. The fried get some fried cheesecake. You know, AJ. That's the first time we've ever had fried cheesecake.
That is a new one on the show. Yeah, the 120.
I'm always here to bring something different to the table.
You've clearly done your job, buddy. Yeah, it was good.
We'll dim it. A little blue there.
So East Coast, West Coast. Are you an East Coast guy, West Coast guy?
Having lived on both.
Both. That's right.
I'm a East Coast work mentality and a West Coast vibe person.
I love it. Good combo.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a you don't see my duck wing feet swimming underneath. You know, people are like, oh, it's just Dave. Yeah, okay, and then.
You could be like Sid Newcomb and live in Florida. He gave us the greatest answer. He goes, "I'm kind of both." He goes, "You can go East Coast, in the morning, and then West Coast in the afternoon. So you can drive
Florida.
In Florida, so you could do both." So would you be
sunrise on the
yeah.
sunset Gulf?
Right.
I always, whenever I was in school and I had to do something last minute, which I always did. I always thought, what if I was going to school in California? I get on a plane. I'm getting an extra 3 hours on the plane to do the work.
Right.
And I wouldn't be late.
Right.
I would spend all my time thinking about that instead of doing the work.
Instead of actually.
So, yeah.
Right.
Better mousetrap.
Right.
I was trying to figure out the time continuance, whatever that is, theory. Yeah.
Time space continuum. Yeah.
I did. I guess I should have liked Quantum Leap. I never watched the show, but I guess I should have liked.
So you a mountains or a beach guy? Mountains, beach. Mountains, beach. Beach.
Mountains are overrated, my man. Yeah. Overrated.
Even with Babylon being right there in Boulder, yeah, overrated, huh?
People might be watching. I won't say anything. No, I okay, I mean, I've been to, luckily, because of Babylon, I went to Chamonix.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. We went there in the summer. I've been there in the winter, too. But
right.
I liked it in the summer. It was pretty. Really beautiful. I suggest anyone go in there. Food's great. Picturesque. Hike. Go down the river. It's phenomenal. That's a real cool town. So yeah, I mean, if you're saying that, but it's just me, I'm more of a beach guy. Yeah.
You like a warm beach like Hawaii, or maybe like, Panama City, one of those kind of beaches, or more kind of like a West Coast beach, like up by San Francisco, kind of where AJ hung out up there with the woke kids up there in the San Francisco area. Are you more kind of like that beach?
I'm probably, I got married in Maui, so I'd probably say more the warmer Hawaii beach. And we were looking for a place near Panama City, so I'd probably say that those two would probably be the ones. There's a really cool town in Alabama, though. What's that town called? But it's really, really cool, like old retro kind of town that has a cool beach there. Orange Beach, I think.
Yeah, down by Gulf Shores.
Yeah, if you ever have a chance to go there, that's pretty cool.
Mobile, Gulf Shores, down in that area. Yeah. Pretty.
Yeah, but it's like it's like where that little split is, like Pensacola, a little bit over Pensacola.
Yep.
It's like Orange Beach or Orange. I should probably look it up.
I think you're right.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, Orange Beach. Yeah.
That's a pretty area of the country. Yeah, that's Really nice. Sunrise, sunset. Are you a morning guy or hopefully an evening guy? You know, because it's 12 o'clock.
Is this a Fiddler on the Roof question?
It is. It is. Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Matchmaker.
Right.
Thank you. Make me a match. That's right. I haven't heard that in a long time.
I'm probably going to say, son, you're probably a sunset guy because you're at midnight. We've taken a lot of your time.
I think he's a morning guy now.
Right. What's that?
Yes. Well, no. If you stay out all night, sunrise is pretty cool.
Right.
It's pretty romantic too. If you've been out all night, then you get up and you watch sunrise. Just letting you know. Right. As comes over the lake in Chicago.
Right.
Yeah. Sunrise.
Awesome.
Favorite season? Are you a summer, winter, spring, fall guy?
That's tough.
Yeah.
I would say summer. I'd say summer because you get hockey, you get tennis. As far as like your sports, you get French Open, you get Wimbledon, you get Stanley Cup. I do love spring though. Something about spring, just getting ready for tennis season. I don't know. There's something just gets you excited. Like you got to train again. Like, do you do the same thing? Your body you start working out, and all of a sudden you're like, why am I doing this? Like, there's no season coming up. Yeah, I'd say summer.
Summer. Yeah.
Like summer.
Chicago summer. Get that Chicago summer.
Chicago summers are great because they're fests. All the fests are awesome.
Yeah.
And people don't realize how great the fests are. You can go out and see just unbelievable bands. If you like a great funk band, Liquid Soul is great. Liquid Soul is very good. Yeah.
I can imagine being. I've only been to Chicago once, and it was a really neat town. We just passed through for a couple of hours on the train, and a couple of years ago, it looked like it would really be a fun place to kind of hang out and kind of check out whether you're a Cubs fan or a White Sox fan.
Yeah.
Great town, Bulls, Bears.
The food's great. People are great. Great bars. People are awesome. I miss my friends dearly. I miss the food and my friends. Other than that, the problem with Chicago is it's just in a rut. It's like the same thing.
Yep.
You go to the auto show. You go like just like things you just go to like all the time. Like I don't know what it is. Like it's like you just do the same thing. I don't know. It's just kind of tradition, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
well, let's move to the third set real quick, and that way we'll end this for you because I know that, like I said, we're in the midnight.
Is it midnight? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, midnight right
there.
Yeah,
the third set of the third set.
Third set of the third set. We know that you met Rafa. Rafa, did you remember meeting D2? One day, did you ever meet him?
Well, Craig Bell, no, David Dwelle, no. I very much enjoyed learning from him. He helped me with the rackets. No, I'm gonna always be indebted to David. No, thank you very much. No,
that's pretty good. Was that pretty close to his voice?
It was very good. It's when I tell people about again, when you talk to other athletes, like, you're at the gym and they're like, ex-football players or something. And they're like, you talk about tennis, you're trying to build up your sport. Right?
Yeah.
I go, well, what's Nadal built like? I go, well, he's kind of like a free safety, an NFL free safety. He's a big dude.
Strong.
Like, he's not tiny. And so you meet him and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then like example, we meet Davydenko. Davydenko was like 110 pounds.
Very thin. Yeah.
Stick. I mean, it was weird. I was like, ugh, like you're not an athlete, but he was. He was a great player.
Oh yeah.
If he bet on himself, but yeah,
or not.
No, whatever day it was. He's kind of the Pete Rose of our sport, really. If you think about it.
He bet on himself and won.
Right. And a couple other people who just recently, I don't know if you read, AJ sent me a text the other day about a couple other fellow.
I follow the At the Net podcast, so I have heard some of these things. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. It's kind of interesting that people do that. And I was telling some ladies at the club, and they go, really? People bet on tennis? And I'm like, come on, what bubble are you living in? Come on.
An industry.
Like, it's a huge industry. And unfortunately, tennis does have, we were talking about this, AJ and I, the other day, and tennis does itself such a disservice because it's really, what was it? Arslan Karatsev, he's the 40th ranked player in the world, and he's only made, what we say, $3 million in 10 years of
10 years, $3 million, right?
$3 million. I mean, the 40th ranked, free safety in the NFL, he'll make at least $5 million a year just sitting on the bench, because there's only 32 of them, but there's a couple that start, or 32, 64. There's 64, cornerbacks, let's say. And
when you compare, well, the problem is you compare it to like baseball and more of a sport that is equal as golf, because you got to earn. Yeah, it's funny. Everyone's saying, well, golf's the only sport you earn your money. I'm like, tennis and bowling, kind of the same thing. You don't get paid unless you win.
Boxing,
right? Boxing. Well, but boxing, you get the check.
You get some checks, for diving.
I'm just saying, like, literally, it's like you earn by as you go, right?
Right.
And so, I mean, I think golfing, if you look at a golfer, if you look at a 40th ranked golfer, he's making a lot more.
Right.
I mean, the guys on the lower tours are making more than those guys.
Crazy.
Right. Yeah, so I can see
they can
why
make 300,000.
Yeah, I can see why that's 300,000. Not that's grossing basically in 10 years, and then you wonder why people take a dive here or dive there. Yeah, I mean, good grief, if you can make a few extra bucks here, 40, 50, put it in your pocket without anybody knowing, and we all know you can hit a ball in the net or miss it wide. It's not that it hadn't happened.
But the one thing we were talking about, like the wooden mats, that'd be fun, right? But another one would be they should have like a Stanley Cup like trophy, right, for a doubles event, right? And so it's like the doubles championship, and so it's a big prize. It's like $1 million, wherever, and you get your name on this trophy. But the whole thing is, Rafa would play with Fed, or Djokovic would play, like, it's like you're the best of the best. It's like everyone goes into it, and you're going to see who's going to win.
Right.
And you'll have double specialists, and you'll have like serve bots, and you'll have, it just throws everything in the mix. That would be cool to have like once a year or once every other year or something. I think another fun match would be kind of like blood sport, where you're just sitting there, name pops up, and then another thing pops up, and it's like red clay, carpet,
right,
grass. You don't know,
right,
and then you battle. And so maybe it's in Vegas where somewhere they can do it, where it's like, you make an event where like you don't know what's going to happen, and people would bet on that. Right.
Yeah, that would be fun. I mean, that'd be really cool. How about wood surface? Remember, I played on a few wood surfaces back in the day. That was where you learned to serve and volley, or you learned to block returns. You better be quick, because.
Did you ever see the French Davis Cup loss where they lost on a basketball court?
Where's that? Let's see.
I got to find it. It was they lost to a Bolivia or some South American country, but they played indoors on a basketball court.
Really?
I want to say it was De Klerk or I want to say it was Yannick Noah.
Yeah, it was definitely late 80s, and
I want to say it was Noah, and he lost.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
The Davis Cup match on a basketball court.
Yeah, where'd that come from? Well,
that wasn't Pella, Iowa, that I played Central and Simpson, a tour, as I was hung over like a bear. Right. Some kids yelling at me from the rafters. I'm trying to hit him with a tennis ball because I'm hung over. Right. And I got to play on this godforsaken surface.
Right. Yeah.
These are pros.
Yes. Yeah. Where'd that come from? Yeah. Well, they knew that probably they couldn't play, and Guy Forget maybe. Guy was probably there at that.
I'll find it because I've sent it to a couple people, and I'll find it, sent it to you. But it's there's someone played on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Davis Cup.
So speaking of tennis courts, indoor or outdoor tennis, what do you think?
Outdoor clay.
Outdoor clay.
I have to play on clay.
Really? Huh.
I refuse to play on hard courts.
Outdoor clay, red clay, like the French Open stuff. Or
I was lucky enough to play at Montaglu's Academy.
Oh, no kidding, really?
At a Babylon event.
Did Patrick come out and talk to you? It's like, hey, David, you need to work the ball, more texture, more feel.
He did. There's a lot of pictures of his face around the whole place, so he very much likes himself. He's a good-looking guy, so I don't know, maybe if I was that good looking, maybe I'd have pictures of me too.
Mm-hmm.
When someone says they have an academy,
Mm-hmm.
just tell them to go shove it because they don't have an academy.
No.
Because I've seen what a real academy is. This has a helipad.
Yeah.
This has a hotel.
Oh.
This has covered clay courts. And I'm talking European clay. And I'm telling you what, I've never hit on anything. Me and Rick Walsh were hitting cross court. And Rick Walsh can play, good player, but he's a Wilson rep now.
Mm-hmm.
He was hitting the ball as hard as he could. And I swear I could have taken a call and done it. I could have tried to figure out how to get on this podcast.
Yeah.
The 8 times I tried to get on before the ball got to me, and then hit it.
Right.
And I swear I hit it as hard as I could, and it looked like he had all the time in the world. Like he was setting up. It's like, okay, now I'm going to turn. You can't. Anybody who hits a winner on that stuff is a beast. You can't hit the ball hard enough. You can't hit it. It doesn't go anywhere.
Interesting. Yeah, I can imagine you guys out there just banging balls on the dirt. And,
awesome.
And you had to change your shoes afterwards and socks and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. It
was fun.
We had red dirt in Oklahoma. It was just natural. It just kind of went through the air.
Clay.
It was clay. It was from the Red River. I mean, we had that red dirt there. We didn't even know we were playing on clay. So. Most embarrassing moment in tennis. What's your have you had an embarrassing moment in tennis?
Jeez.
Or a couple?
Embarrassing moment.
Like hitting that kid in the rafters, when you're hungover. Did you ever hit him?
Okay, I got one.
Okay.
I'm going to tell this story. Okay, here we go. I haven't thought about this in years. This is like therapy for me, just so you know. This is
okay.
We
appreciate
that. Me for this later.
We don't even send a bill.
That's right. It's free. It's on us.
Loras College is a Catholic college, and that coach that didn't believe in me was later was our assistant coach, and then later became our coach. He was the Reverend chaplain, so he played music for the church, and real nice guy. We're playing a match against Platteville, and they were good team. Playing the Spanish kid who was good, really good. But he'd say "ay" after every ball. It annoyed me. But we actually had beers later, and we got along real well. He was a good player, and we were battling. And I think I said some GD thing, like I don't know, because I lost a point. I hear penalty point. My coach who gave it to me.
Really?
I looked at him and I go, you really gonna do this? And he goes, yeah. And I go, I pull the guy to the net. I go, good job, good match, we're done. Yeah. We were in a breaker again. We were in a breaker for the second. I think I lost the first. We were in a breaker for the second. I shook his hand. I'm like, I'm not doing this.
Was this Father Guido Sarducci that came up and said that to you? Did you at a Catholic?
This is the find the Pope in the pizza.
The Pope in a pizza.
Hey, there's a hint. There's one behind the desk.
Really? So was he a father? I'm sure. Yeah. Was he the?
No. He worked for the church, but yeah, no. He gave me the.
You didn't get a warning or anything, huh? Wow, that's pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
What's your favorite tournament? And it could be, something that you played in Chicago. It could be something you visited. Is there a favorite tournament out there that, maybe the Atlanta Open there in Atlanta?
Favorite tournament.
Or it could be, Wimbledon, or it could be, the Chicago Open, 1988, at the club, or.
I said the Forest View Open would be funny.
Yeah.
Let's say favorite tournament. That's a good one. I haven't really thought about it.
Yeah.
I love the French and I love Wimbledon. The reason why I love both those two is and again, something that's not talked about in the sport, just the beauty of the color of the red clay. and the brightness of the players, what they're wearing and everything, and then going from that really distinct visual to this green with white combo is so it just means so much to me every time I see the combo. I always talk about it, and I always think, boy, I think we're just lucky to see these two visuals all the time.
Right.
But I think both those two back to back. I've been to the French.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable. Again, Babolat took me there, and Eric actually, my favorite story is that Eric's like, hey, this Isner match is going to the 5th. And I sent him a picture from it. I go, yeah, I know, I'm here.
It's like, oh, okay.
There was a finger that came back, I think, for that response. But yeah, that was my favorites.
Who's your favorite tennis player? Who did you enjoy growing up? Being imitating, or was there,
Pat Cash was my guy.
Really,
Pat
Cashy?
Was my guy, yeah.
Did you have the checkerboard headband?
I had headbands, yeah. I didn't have a checkerboard one. I just loved his athleticism.
Yeah.
I loved they liked to drink, chase women, and rock and roll, and he played tennis the way I wanted to play it. He came in and on everything, and that's what I did.
Wasn't Cash? Did he have a little earring also too? Didn't
he also had an earring? Yes.
Yeah. Did you ever sport the earring?
He did.
Yeah, I had.
Did you really? Oh, I did.
Yeah, I got it spring break, Fort Lauderdale.
So was it diamond encrusted? Did you have one of those diamond?
I was a hoop first.
Yeah.
And then I got a diamond one. And then that got beaten out of me for some of this bar fight. And then, I got another hoop for a while, yeah.
I just remember Victor Pecci was the first one that I remember had an earring. We were sitting there going, wow, that guy's got an earring. Wow, is it righty, lefty? I didn't know which one was which. I kind of was like, but he had an earring. I just remember he was the first guy that had an earring. I thought, man, that's pretty cool. No, there weren't any. That's the days before tattoos, earrings, all that kind of stuff. Now, Kyrgios, he's got a whole arm of tattoos.
So is Bublik.
Yeah, and Bublik, yeah, also too. Yeah, that's Rick Ekloff, our buddy Rick. He's probably still watching if he's still up. He thinks Bublik wins every tournament. This guy that watches us, the podcast religiously, every tournament, Bublik's going to win. So, but
game.
Yeah, he's got a great game. Yeah, he's got a really good game. But you had the earring. Was that after a night of maybe adult?
I got it at a bar in Fort Lauderdale.
Right. Literally.
Real good hygiene. Yeah.
The guy had a really clean needle. I'm sure he had a really clean needle.
I'm sure it wasn't used for anybody else. I'm sure it was very safe and sanitary.
That's right. Yes.
There was a lot of alcohol involved somewhere, but I don't think it was on the needle.
So did you have any superstitions or rituals, when you were playing? Did you have to turn your water bottles a certain way like Rafa? Or did you have to it wouldn't step on any lines, that kind of stuff?
No. I think that was the thing. It was funny because I remember we had a really good player on our team at Babolat, Jackie Carlton. She played at Duke and UCLA, and her brother played at Duke. And, obviously, really good tennis player if you're playing at those two schools. And little old me at Loris, and I remember her saying, like, my dad was a coach, and, after every practice, I hit a boot card full of balls, I started thinking, I was like, man, have I ever hit a boot card full of ball ever? So I was like, I don't think I ever did any of that. Like, I don't, really looking back now, like, I just wish I would have taken the time and done the things, the serve and the return to serve, like the ladies were talking about earlier.
Right.
Like I wish I would have cultivated more time. I didn't like to practice. I like to play.
Yeah.
So I was more of a player, just serve it up, let's let it rip. I never stretched. I just didn't like to warm up. I was like, let's go at it.
Play. Yeah.
Yeah. If I did the lean, that was it.
I know you have kids. Do you have them playing tennis, or did you encourage them to play tennis, or really kind of like?
Blake and I played when he was younger.
Yep.
We hit balls all the time. He was in academy with John Irvin over here at Legacy Park.
Yep.
He just got into music. Just didn't really. Just didn't catch the tennis bug. It was funny. The rules kind of changed with the red and the Raji balls, the red and the green, and I remember I was like, okay, you gotta change your racket because you're playing this one event, blah blah blah, and then like something changed, like whatever, and he looked at me, he yelled at me, he goes, "Don't you know the rules?" And I'm like, "They just changed the rules. I don't know. I'm learning them like you are."
Right.
He's just yelling at me. He's like, "Don't you know? You're in tennis."
Yeah.
No, I don't know any of this.
Not yet.
Yeah. So we know you
again. I'm getting yelled at even from my kids.
Right.
It's nothing new.
So we know that you played some other sports. If you wouldn't have really focused in on tennis, what do you think you would have played? Would it have been baseball? Would it have been hockey? What of those two sports, or maybe another sport? Maybe.
I really wish I would have been a setter for volleyball. If they had men's volleyball, I would have been playing volleyball.
Yeah. Interesting. Really? Are you? Yeah, you really like it.
Yeah, I loved. I wasn't tall enough or like to have the jumps, but I think I would have loved being a setter.
Really?
I think that would have been
your forte. Right. That it just looks flying around the beach volleyball. Would you be a beach or more of like the 6-person indoor?
More of the regular team.
Yeah.
They started having club teams in college like right as I left, but now Loras has a team. They have a men's team.
Really? Yeah.
And high school is now they have it everywhere. Yeah.
Right.
In Chicago. So they just didn't have it.
Right. Interesting.
Or lacrosse probably. I probably would have played lacrosse.
Lacrosse too.
Yeah.
Can you say lacrosse? That's an Indian sport? I don't know if we can say that.
Ooh, it's tough. Yeah,
like Warriors, you kind of like can't say that anymore. Or like the Cleveland Indians or Chicago Blackhawks, So
there's
the best sport. The best sport's padel.
Padel, yes.
Amazing.
Have you ever played that?
Yes. There's a couple of courts around here. I know AJ.
That's right, in Dallas. Dallas has a few.
Yeah.
It is the best game.
It's amazing off the wall. I remember hitting one. It's a clean winner in tennis, and the guy could leave the court and get it back in, and then I'm going back to get it off the wall. Amazing. Yeah. It's tennis, squash. It's all these great things. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really got into squash. I was a pretty serious squash player for a while. When I worked at Head, I went and saw some guys play at the University of Chicago club, and they played a point for 10 minutes, and it was a let. I was
unbelievable.
Like, wow. Oh. And then I got in and played with the pro, and we played a point for 5 minutes, and I was like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
This is cool. I get it.
Right.
And when I moved to California, for some reason, the club right where I was at in Irvine, they had 4 squash courts. And so I played every day.
Yeah.
And met a couple people and played a lot. And then I got my buddy J.D. Coleman, who plays a lot now in Michigan. He's a lot better than me now, but I used to beat him pretty regularly back in the day. But that's the best workout.
Yeah.
Squash is a great workout. But padel is the combo of it all.
Yeah.
Right. Padel. You have to roll that. You see, AJ can do that because he can. Some people call it paddle. I think that's how we say it in Oklahoma. Paddle.
Yeah.
You got one of them paddle courts up there.
Hey, paddle. You got that paddle.
You got some paddle. Actually, there is
a saddle.
There is a padel court at the Greens. I think they turned in two padel courts from one tennis court, I believe, in Oklahoma City, where I used to work. So padel's getting big. It's.
If I could do it, I would try running one in Atlanta for sure.
Yeah. So it looks fun. That's for sure. Our buddy Mike May down in Houston. He introduced it.
I've played with him.
Yeah. He played with Mike. Yeah. Yeah. He's got that over in East Houston. Doesn't he have like a padel? Have you been over there?
I played at his place. Yeah. I played with his wife too. His wife's really good.
Yeah. Belen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the weird thing about Houston. You got a high rise, you got a 7-Eleven, you got a padel place, all right next to each other.
Zoning.
No zoning.
None.
Yeah. Then you have a bar right next door to it.
There's a pit bull somewhere there too.
Right.
Chicken fight.
Right. Right. They have that on. That's the next street over.
Yes.
So, what would you be doing right now if you weren't involved in sports? What do you think you'd be doing if you weren't involved in sports like tennis and padel and all these great sports?
I don't know. I owe my whole life to this sport.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have went to school if I didn't play tennis. I wouldn't have met my wife because I went out because a buddy of mine who just passed away, who was a tennis pro, and we went out to go see a band, and she was in his group, and and so I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have met my buddy John to play music with. I wouldn't have I wouldn't have worked for any of these companies. So I mean, tennis is everything to me. I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like I've worked yet. I really don't. You know, I mean, I've worked construction. I've worked maintenance for a pool. Here's the thing. You watch Blues Brothers, right?
Sure.
So when he gets pulled over in the beginning, and he says Ayler Funeral Home, that's in Park Ridge. There's a baby pool right across the street. I used to service that baby pool every day.
Wow.
Literally right across the street.
Is that right next to the roller rink also where you sold concessions?
No, it was part of the Park District there, Park Ridge Park District.
Right.
But it was, they sent me off.
Right.
They sent me off to run the baby pool. And I turned it green, which wasn't good. But anyways, I don't know what I would have done. Probably.
Would you be in sales? Would you be a salesperson of some? I mean, obviously.
No, I probably would have been something in media.
Yeah.
I liked radio. My buddy and I, Jack, my roommate in college, Jack Farbeck, we had our own radio show in the morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Our slogan was "Don't wake up alone, wake up with Jack and Dave."
It is.
Spinning the hits from the 1980s. Jack and
Yes, we had our own show. That was fun. I worked for a radio show in Chicago for a while, and I probably would have done that somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Did you guys had was Chumley? No, what was that? Was it Chumley? Was that his name? There was a guy who used to be on the radio in Chicago that was like, and then he went to Dallas and was a big was on for a while.
There's a guy that used to fly back and forth. He did the morning show in Dallas, and he'd do the afternoon show.
Yeah.
And he did that for like 20 years or something.
That was the urban station, though.
Yeah, yeah. But there was a guy that did that. I remember thinking, golly, he was very popular here in Dallas. And so after he'd get through with his, couple hours here, he'd fly up to Chicago. And then, now you just do it over the internet, like what we're doing right now. And, but yeah, he did that for a number of years. And
thanks to the owner of the Mavericks, right? Are we all doing this?
Mark, broadcast.com, Cuban.
So, all right, last question, then we'll let you go here because we like to finish on a high note here. So if you were the commissioner of the great game and you were entrusted into the the game and you could make any change or changes or not make any change or changes, is there something that you'd like to see the great game be involved with more or less involved, or just you like it the way it is on amateur, college, pros? It doesn't matter. Just you're the commissioner.
Well, college is a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where do I go with this? How can we turn the computer off for a little bit? Look, college is when your buddy's at DePaul and you call him up and he's in Lithuania trying to get players to play tennis at DePaul University.
Right.
I mean, something's wrong.
Right.
I get if it's SEC. I get it if it's Pac-10. It's Bradley. It's DePaul. It's DePaul. It's I mean, like, come on, man. Like, there's not enough female tennis players in the U.S. to give scholarships to, or men, or what. Like, it just has to stop. It just has to stop because here's my problem, right? Mickey Mall was a great player. Could have played at UCLA, USC, bigger school. Well, there wasn't any spots for him.
Southern Illinois.
Right.
So he went to Southern Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think my options are now? Because I wasn't as good as him. Right. So now I can't. Now the better players that are better than me, they're in between Mickey and me, are now going to Northern, Eastern,
Southern, whatever,
Western. Yeah. Like they're going to the schools that I could have had a shot at playing at. And again, not like I'm going to play one, but let's say I go to Northern Illinois, I develop my game, I get a little better, and then where do you take it from there, right? And so it's the same thing with Isner, right? Look, Isner was a good player. He never won the NCAAs. He's top 10 in the world.
Right.
So how many of those guys are sitting there that we're never given the opportunity to be top 10 in the world because we're not giving enough chances of players to develop and learn to play the game because they don't want to play. Mm-hmm. The only reason I'm saying here because I was too stupid and too stubborn to not play.
Right.
I should have not played. Honestly.
Right.
Because no one really wanted me.
I get
no
it.
one wanted me to, and so I get frustrated because I think, if we set a scholarship max, like if it's 2 foreign players per team, fine. And then if you wanted the rest, they got to pay their own way. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Whatever they got to do. Now, obviously, with the whole NIL money, that's changed everything. But I just think we if there's no reason to play at a school, you want to be wanted, right?
Right.
Like that. There's something to that, to be recruited. And once you give up that dream, we were like, yeah. I mean, I was talking to a great player out of here, Dave Drew, who played at Vanderbilt. He's like, they never recruited me in Michigan because I'm from Detroit. Never recruited me. And he goes, and I was talking to him. We played golf together. He goes, yeah, like the last week before, like he saw me play, is like he pressed hard to get me. He's like, I would have played. It's Michigan because that's where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
They never talked to me.
It's
like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it, I mean, you got Baylor is basically German U. You got and it's like, how do I get behind that?
Yep.
I don't know. I think the reason why football is great is because a kid that went to Harrison High School is now the quarterback of the Bears.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And by the way, he was at Georgia and he was at Ohio State. And there are people, Justin Fields here, that will follow him wherever he goes because they have grown up with him and his family, right? And so if he's a Bulldog, he's now, there was a Roquan Smith. I walked into a Academy Sports here, and there was a Roquan Smith Bears jersey when he got drafted. I went, Roquan Smith Bears jersey?
Right.
In Atlanta?
Right.
That's the difference of developing, building, and growing athletes into a sport where then you get to know who they are. You get to learn about them, love them, and then follow them as they go through.
Tapping into the identity and the tribal feel, human nature, where tennis, I love that it's an incredible individual game, but tennis doesn't have this.
Is that where college basketball is kind of missing it also, to the point? Because now, they're one and done. A lot of these kids, you don't even know who. I mean, when we went to college, or we think back, we can name a lot of college basketball players. Now it's all about the coaches, and the kids are not even, they don't stay a year or two and they're gone.
Where did Mousy McFadden go? Cleveland State.
Okay.
Like, there's just dumb names. Like, you're just like, why do you know that?
Right.
Because you got to know who they were.
Right.
You got to follow them. I mean, Chicago.
Yeah.
How many kids out of Chicago don't go to U of I or DePaul? It's scary. They go to Wisconsin. They go to Iowa. They go to Georgia. They go to all their places. I mean, every time you see a team, it's like from Chicago. You're like, really?
Right.
Really? Really? You can't get your own kids? You can't stay in your own state?
Right.
And so, basketball has lost that, where I followed guys through college. You got to know them. This will tell you everything you need to know. Tim Tebow's football jersey was the #1 selling jersey when he got to the NFL. Never played one down.
Right. Yep. Florida Gator. Heisman Trophy winner.
Never played a down.
Right.
It's #1 selling NFL jersey.
Right. Yeah.
And he wasn't good. But the point is and again, we all get caught up in like where they're going to be. What about the build-up? What about the follow-up to where they were and where I mean, how many times did we watch Georgetown play St. John's?
Oh, yeah.
Villanova.
You can name all those players. I mean,
Patrick Ewing and all those guys,
Chris Mullen.
St. John's,
and you got to know all of them, and then there would be some guy coming out of some small school like Oklahoma, Dennis Rodman, who gets picked. Then there's those stories too, right? And that's fine. And tennis has that too, but it'd be such a better, I don't know, such a better follow through for the sport if we just had more homegrown players. It bothers me in the Olympics. A country will come out and they're like, "Oh, he's a track star at Arkansas," or you're like,
How'd they get there? Right. You know, that point in case, I was sitting there. I remember watching my buddy play Brad Gilbert
Hell of a player, Princeton or Pepperdine, right?
Yeah, he went to Foothill Junior College. He went to
Foothill up in NorCal, yeah.
Yeah, and so here's a guy that works his way through the system. I mean, Brad Gilbert. I remember this was Shreveport, Louisiana. Chris Brown. He was the pro at your place that not Glen Eagles Country Club. But I remember seeing Chris Brown in operation at Piermont Oaks Racket Club.
Piermont.
Yeah, I was just some knucklehead that was just out in college, and there's a tournament, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So we just went over to Shreveport, all of our buddies. I remember my buddy Eric Sturmo plays Brad Gilbert first round. I go, who's this slots over here? But here he goes. He goes on through. I mean, I can name, probably 10 or 15 guys off this little circuit. It was a 258 qualifying draw to get into the main draw. 256. I'm sorry, 256. Yeah. 256 college-age boys were trying to get into this event that back in 1982, this is the summer of 1982, trying to get into this event where Jimmy Arias, he was the number one seed. And he won that because Chris, I talked to him about it. He had this big fro. And I go, yeah, I remember you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you look like, the Mod Squad guy, Pete from the Mod Squad, I go, yeah, and he starts laughing. But, just stuff like that, here's the guy, Brad Gilbert. If he doesn't get a chance to play junior college tennis, then go on to Pepperdine, then go on to Honey's Craft. There's guys like that all over the place in this little circuit, little summer circuit. And I don't think those people are out there anymore. And
but I was with a rep in Carolina. We were waiting around, and Carolina, they have the rocking chairs, right? So you sit in the rocking chairs, and he starts spinning his story. It's Mike Springelmeyer. I don't know if you know Mike Springelmeyer.
I know his name. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is another funny story. So I worked at Head Sports. They gave us this book. It was a U.S. Open book. And it was the draw from like 68 to wherever the time was, 92 or 90, 89. I still have it.
Right.
And so I opened the first page, and I see Dubuque, Iowa. And I see Springelmeyer. That's weird. There's a couple names, right? And so when I get the job Babylon, I'm actually at the street corner down that way, my old house. I'm at the gas station. The phone rings, and he's like, hey, this is Mike Springelmeyer. And I go, you played the U.S. Open in 1969, right? He goes, yeah, I did. How'd you know that? I go, I don't know. I just remembered you were from Dubuque, Iowa. I went to Loris. He goes, no way. I goes, yes, I am.
Yes, way.
Yeah. But we were sitting there at this club, and he goes, they used to hold a pro tournament here. I was like, here at this club? He's like, yeah. And so it started to get me thinking, kind of like a Hooters tour for golf or whatever back in the day. Well, why isn't there an American tour in the U.S. at these smaller clubs? Because wouldn't people at Bentry love to sit and see a professional tournament?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And pay money. And then, oh, by the way, might want to finance them, because I think if he's Sam Querrey's deal,
right,
he had a bunch of people finance him, and they get action on his winnings.
Right.
Which is not a lot lately, but he did have a good run for a while.
Yeah, he did.
And so, then again, it's like, I think when you really look at right now, like our younger players, it's got to be emotionally damaging, because you get into a main draw and you're playing Djokovic, you're playing Nadal, you're playing, some of these guys that's just still haven't retired.
Right.
They're still hanging around. You're like, Leighton Hewitt I saw him playing a couple years ago in Atlanta. And the guy looked like he was kicking his butt, but he wasn't. Yeah. Leighton ended up winning. But I'm like, this poor kid is trying to make the tour, and he's playing maybe the greatest grinder of all time.
Legend.
You're like, okay.
Right. Yeah.
Is this good for the game? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think tennis does itself a disservice, because golf, you have three separate tours. Like I watched the Open today. So a kid from Australia who I didn't really know who he was, and a couple other guys typically come from different tours. There's one North American tour, there's a European tour, and there's an Asian tour. They seem like they have three or four different tours going on. Tennis, Uno tour. And so let me ask you this question. Do you think if the Live tour from golf were to come over to tennis and start paying players, how many people you think would shift over to that tennis tour really fast if they got guaranteed money?
It already happened, didn't it?
Did it? I mean, from on the tennis
With
side?
Rod Laver, didn't I mean, basically Rod Laver. I mean,
Yes.
the experiment was already done.
The barnstorming.
Rod Laver gave up the best
yes,
years of his life.
Jack Kramer. Yeah, Jack Kramer's big barnstorming tour back in the 50s and the 60s. That's correct. You're right.
Right. I mean, so I mean, the cool thing about tennis is, right, like we are a sport that was way ahead of gay players,
Right.
Transgender. I mean, we have set the bar for so many things in sport, and we don't talk about any of it. It's such a sad thing. I mean, Martina's story is crazy. I mean, she left her family, then comes here, and then it's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm gay, and it's like,
what?
At the time when no one was talking about it, taking all the heat for that, but then still being this great player and ambassador for the game, and you're like, man, all the things she's taken on,
right?
Well,
you have AJ that knows Renee Richards, one of the first transgendered tennis people. Here comes AJ.
That was the 70s.
Yeah, late or 77, 78. Yeah.
Did you ever go get your teeth checked at Dr. Ranskin's office?
She's a great dentist and all. I never went to her office, but she did like this free program, and occasionally would come hit with, a couple good players, a couple young guys like me. So I do have her book that was Don Budge on tennis, and her dad gave it to her when Renee was a boy, and it was signed to the coming champ, Richard Raskin, and he was junior, and she was, of course, Richard III.
Right.
Cool guy. And like David says, we have these stories in tennis, and we do a terrible job of letting the world know about it.
Right.
Well, and like we said, like, how do we, these players would do better getting a couple wins under the belt, winning some smaller tournaments, right? Would the Live tournament kind of work for tennis? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think golf makes more sense because there's more Americans watching it and there's more Americans playing it. I don't know if it makes sense on the tennis side because tennis is just owned by every other country.
Yeah, it's so.
I mean, unless they were going to invest, really the country needs to invest. For example, Canada, right? Canada's had such a turnaround in the last 10 years because what they did was they invested in the players. So, I mean, here's the problem. AJ, you have a player, and you've been developing their whole life. Hey, I'm going to take that player now. Hey, Craig, you're now their coach. And the player's like, whoa, what?
Wait.
Like, I liked AJ. And there's nothing wrong with Craig, but I've just basically pulled you away and sent you over to the other side.
But USTA, we're paying for it.
And again, I understand what they're trying to do. I get it. But it's not working. In Canada, they give AJ the money and the player and go, okay, develop a player, make this happen, and it worked, and so, I think when things are working like that, you've got to look to it and see if you can copy it or steal it.
Something,
I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but
it seems like when Canada's kicking our butt in tennis, that we're like, hey, wait a minute, we're about 20 times the size of Canada, and could take them over in a minute, but yet all of a sudden tennis, we can't figure that out. There's just something, the optics aren't quite right.
Well, don't you think it's also a problem with soccer too? I mean, everyone's talking about USA soccer. So many kids that play soccer, and then we can't win.
Yeah.
Well, why is that? Are we getting the best athletes? I mean, I think that's the other argument, right? I could make this argument: Rafa's the best athlete in Spain. I can make the argument Fed's the best athlete in Switzerland. Right. I can make the argument that Djokovic is the best athlete in Serbia. Right. Now, there's some hockey players that compete with Djokovic.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some other sport I'm missing. There's probably some skiers in Switzerland. Okay, whatever. But we're talking best athletes. Nadal's probably one of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we're going up against the what number athlete of our USA guys?
Yeah.
Not even 100.
Right.
Put a racket in Derek Jeter's hand. Put a racket in
Michael Jordan. Your buddy Michael Jordan. Mike Jordan. Or
yeah, but I mean, I'm even going there. I'm just saying a good athlete, Steph Curry.
Oh, Steph Curry, yeah.
Steph Curry's a great athlete, right? Scratch golfer.
Yep.
Give him a racket.
Yep.
And if you look back, I see pictures of Dr. J playing tennis. I see pictures of Mo Cheeks playing tennis. I see tennis was a very popular sport with a lot of the other athletes because they liked playing it. There's a lot of hockey players. If you look at the European hockey players, when they say in the write-ups, it's like favorite other sport is tennis because usually they're playing hockey and then tennis.
Yep. Local guy Dirk Nowitzki that we know is he was pretty decent. Yeah, pretty good basketball player too for the Mavericks for a long time. And I know AJ's met him. I haven't really been around him, but he hits pretty good ball, I think, doesn't he?
He does. I went to his birthday party, and of course you and I went to that press conference.
Yeah, the Dallas Open.
He's got not just a normal one-handed backhand grip. He goes way over because he's tall and the ball might come up. He was hitting with Isner, and he rips a one-hander. It's better than his forehand. Yeah. So he's a fan of tennis, and he illustrates what David's saying is probably his second favorite sport, tennis.
Right. Yeah. No, it's
But like you said, like how many actors and actresses play tennis that we don't know about? How many?
A lot, probably.
Do they do a pro-am with those? Like, these are things how you get more people involved in tennis. Or here's the other thing. Sexualize the game. We have beautiful people that play the game.
Right.
I mean, again, why was I playing tennis? Because what I mean? Like there was another side of it. I wanted to meet girls, right? So if I'm a girl and I see a guy who's good looking, I mean, there's some good looking dudes. Yeah. Why don't we have their shirts off and hitting balls? Because they do it in the practice court. Why don't we see more of that? Or girls are wearing, like skimpier things when they hit balls. If that's helps sells the sport. Again, not in a way where we're sexualizing, but more of like
embrace their
athleticism.
Right.
Right. I mean, there's a whole naked body issue that what Sports Illustrated has or ESPN issue.
Yep.
Yeah, pickleball's onto it, right, Craig?
Yes. Yes.
The nudist.
Yeah.
Nudist resort.
I didn't say that, but yes, I get what you're saying. But I'm saying they're I mean,
a lot of pickles hanging out there, so you know what I mean.
That's not the kitchen I want to be near.
Yeah, different kitchen entirely.
Yeah. Well, Dave, it's almost it's 1:00 right now, Atlanta time.
It's been tremendous. You've been so generous with your time, so humble, so humorous, and we just wanted to thank you for digging deep tonight. This is a great time for us.
Yes.
First of all, both of you two are two of my favorite people in the world.
Well, thank you.
Too sweet.
It doesn't matter about selling anything. I don't think really I've sold a lot with either one of you two over all the years, so that has nothing to do with it. I just love hanging out with both you two.
Well, thank you. And likewise.
You guys have a great reputation in the tennis industry, and that's more important than anything else. Yeah. And then just great people. So it's nice to be hanging out with both.
You can come back and this is page 2 of questions. We didn't get to page 2. Let's
do it. Let's do a Wednesday night with Dave Dwelle. And just for tonight, we are sadly winding down. But what a great trip it's been. Thank you both. Just tremendous, both of you.
I knew we were going to have a good time with Dave, and knew we wouldn't need. There were a lot more questions we could have asked, but we're, like I said, coming in on 3.5 hours. I think you're number one now. Devore DeCaris was number one at 3 hours. It tipped over the 3-hour mark, but I think we started.
We're almost at 4 hours here.
Almost 4 hours. Yeah,
I just want to say. Yeah. Who is Nathan Johnson? That's all it really matters. Right. Gentlemen, thank you. Great seeing you. I hope to see you soon. Or I'm taking you both out to brisket nachos on me.
Katy Trail Ice House. We'll see you there, buddy.
It's on me.
All right.
And then Whataburger afterwards.
Okay. Yeah. We'll take you up on that next time you're around the Dallas area. So please come back and see us. It was a surprise to see him the one time a couple of weeks ago. He just walked in. I go, Dave Dwelle. I hadn't seen him in years. I was like, here he is. He's just right there all of a sudden. I
like to pop in and just surprise people. It's my new thing.
And Craig booked you. That was awesome. Thank you.
Right.
Well done.
Oh, right then. Yeah, absolutely. I was like, hey, would you mind doing this? We're going to hit you up on some digits because we'll get you some Athanet podcast.
I would love to wear it. I will. I will put it on my Insta for sure.
Well,
at least 4 likes.
Yeah.
For me and my fake phones I have, my ghost phones.
Your burners. Well, send us your address. We'll keep in touch. And good night from Dallas, Texas, and Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, boys.
All right.
Good seeing you.
Good night. Thanks.
We'll do it again tomorrow. We'll do it again tomorrow.
If we're here already. It's already tomorrow.
Already tomorrow. See you later. Good night.
There you guys.